What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast. I have a great show that we recorded on New Year's Day with Savannah, who goes by the Mouse and the Moto on Instagram, and Chris Moose, who goes by Moosecraft. Great people, had a great time talking. Met them at Bike Night. I actually know Moose pretty well, and you guys know that, but I had just met Savannah, and I was pretty stoked to have her on the podcast. Good times. This podcast is brought to you by Simpson motorcycle helmets. You guys already know that's my helmet of choice, and you can check them out at simpsonmotorcyclehelmets.com as well as on Instagram. Lexin Moto has a intercom system for you. The all-new G16 is the group rider's long-awaited answer to an affordable intercom system. With a 16-rider comm system, Bluetooth 5.0, and music sharing, it will keep your group connected while traveling together. This is another great product from the team at Lexin, geared at making motorcycle rides and travel more enjoyable. Check it out at lexin-moto.com, where you can apply the Fast Life offer code, which will save you 15% off your entire order. And as always, you can be rest assured. Can you be rest assured? I don't know. That Lexin backs up all their products with the best customer service in the industry. Check them out. Thundermax has your EFI equipped Harley Davidson covered with their high quality auto tuning ECMs. I have been running their computer on my Road Glide for a long time, 40,000 miles to be exact, and it continues to give me the optimal performance out of my engine, paired with their oil cooler fan, which is a great addition to the M8 touring models, keeping my bike cool and running at desirable temperatures. You can check these products out at shoptmax.com, and you can also use this offer code FASTLIFE, which saves you 10%. And let me tell you, that goes a long way on the Thundermax platform. You know, check it out. Great shit. Check them out on Instagram, Thundermax EFI. Letric Lighting Co. has your bike covered from headlight to tail light with a ton of LED lighting options for many different Harley-Davidson models. All lighting is backed by great warranties and plug-and-play options, so you can't go wrong with making the switch or stepping up to Letric Lighting Co. NAM's custom cycle products since 1999 has been offering American-made wiring products for all things V-twin, and Badlands for over 30 years has been offering the most reliable and dependable lighting modules in the USA, backed by a lifetime warranty. Find out more about these great companies at namscustomcycleproducts.com, and you can drop the FL2021 offer code, which gives you free shipping on orders over $100. John Jessup's Team Dream Rides out of Stockton, California is a one-stop shop to have your motorcycle customized, maintained, repaired, and upgraded with in-house dyno tuning, parts, and accessories. Also, check out teamdreamrides.com online store to see the full array of products for you and your bike. If you're short on cash, you can take advantage of the 100 days same as cash financing on teamdreamrides.com. All you need is a job and a bank account. And while you're at it, give John and the team a follow at DreamRidesJohn on Instagram. Paint Huffer Metal Flake has you covered, literally, with all the badass flakes and pearls you could ever want or need. Head on over to painthuffer.com and you can save yourself 10% off by using FastLife26 offer code. And last but not least, you can get some inspiration by checking out all the amazing paintwork created with Paint Huffer products at Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram. I did that all in one take. I'm pretty stoked about that. Anyway, great show for you guys. We had a great weekend. I want to thank everybody that came out for our anniversary party. Couldn't have asked for a better turnout and couldn't have asked for a better time. We recorded a lot of great podcasts with some homies, and I'm ready to drop those. So, yeah, let's just get into this. Savannah and Chris Moose. Here we go.
Hey, guys. You ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
Well, Happy New Year.
Yes.
It's a new year. It's finally. Was it a good year for you guys or what? Let's be real.
It's been a really terrible year.
2020 sucked ass.
But November to current has been pretty amazing for me.
Had a great year, man. I can't deny it. Like, I was, my buddy Steve, he did a thing on his stories where he like went and like did a highlight for the whole year. Not necessarily a highlight like on your actual Instagram page, but just archive things and re-throwing it back out there. And I was like, fuck, man, like that looks cool. So I went and did mine. I had fun. I had a lot of fun this year. Traveled a lot, rode, all that good stuff, man. So y'all are being super careful. You don't have to worry about that.
The sound on the table. It's like clink, clink, clink. I can't remember whose podcast it was. They were like, he would sit there and chew and swallow and all kinds of stuff. It was like, man.
Those are, try not to do the food or the vapes on here because the vapes, you hear all the pulls and shit.
Yep.
And then all the, it sounds like.
No, 2020 was a beating. Lost over $200,000 of revenue in February. Like first week of February, had $80,000 taken out of my bank deposits from work that was planned for Toyota Lexus. Lost half my shop. Stepfather died. Cancer.
Tough one.
Almost lost my truck for a short period of time after not driving it for 9 months.
Was it after all that paint got fucked up on it, or that was?
Yeah, that's been years. And then, almost got evicted once or twice out of multiple places. Just, lost my ass financially. And then November was like, hey, do you want to live again? Please and thank you.
Nice,
and so
nice.
it's been a 180-degree turn for me, but it's still been a really
Good time.
I still got to go Sturgis and like blow off a bunch of steam when I really couldn't afford to, but I was really glad that I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, reconnected with some people while we were up there and did some things. She's had a really interesting run this year too.
How's your year been?
The short rundown is it started off really awesome. Made it down to Daytona, got COVID.
You were one of the people there, huh?
Yeah, I was one of the first ones apparently.
Ground zero.
Came home, ended a relationship, lost a couple family members, so it's been kind of a rough year. I did get an FXR and a sweet truck, so like there's a couple upsides in there.
The materialism always outweighs the actual.
I mean, anytime you add a motorcycle, it's a good thing. It hasn't been so bad at the end of the year. It's been better, at least, getting to see a couple friends and hug a couple people. And I got to go to Sturgis and didn't get sick there, so.
Yeah. I think by that time, I feel like we all had it at some point. You know what I mean? We were all, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like I get drunk so much that I never know if I have COVID in the morning or if I'm just got a hangover or some shit. Because, like, every symptom is, like, a hangover symptom. Oh, my neck hurts. I can't taste or smell anything. And the light hurts, anything. So, I don't know. But
it depends on what you're hungover from.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. No,
I started drinking whiskey this year. That's been my new thing to go to, and that's been really rough.
Downward spiral, huh?
No, actually, well, my thought was I won't drink it like I drink beer.
But the problem is you drink it as fast as you drink beer, and you get twice as drunk twice as fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried that in Sturgis. They had their buffalo chip whiskey and kept throwing it my way, and I'm all, cool, I got this. No, whiskey's rough.
It's tough, man. It's an acquired taste, too, man. Like, I don't know. Kind of like this pickle beer, I guess. I love that shit.
Have you had the spicy version of that?
I love it. We were just talking
about it.
So
good.
Yeah. They only make them every once in a while, though, so you got to, like, stock up when they get that shit.
It's Martin House Brewing or something like that.
Yeah. If we're trying to get the Montucky dudes to, like, sponsor us or sponsor the podcast at least, which I don't know why the fuck they won't.
Don't they give money back to, like, Wild Horses and stuff like that? No, I thought that they were part of a charitable organization that donated part of their sales to, like... it
says 8% goes back to
Wild Horses.
Causes.
Something. Yeah.
Well, everybody thinks it's an 8% beer because that says the percentage on the can.
So it's 8% real heavy on the top. And then it says to charitable causes.
Yeah. No, it's just a fun beer, man. It's not bad and whatnot, but it would be dope to have like a beer spot, not getting paid from them, but just like give us a couple cases. That way when people are here, they can have, we'll have some beer in the podcast instead of me spending $50 every fucking time a podcast is happening.
Just don't hit up 805.
I don't like their beer.
It's gross. It tastes like flowers.
See, that's the other thing. It's like if someone was going to sponsor us with a beer, I actually have to like it. Otherwise, I'm not going to run the shit. You know what I mean? That's the main thing, to me at least. So
Cold snacks are good. Just don't go for the pickle. I'm not Not down with pickles.
Well, the good thing about Martin House is they have a ton of different types of beer. So it'd be cool to have like, if they were the ones that were the sponsors, it'd be dope to have like a fridge full of different types of beer that people can try.
That'd be cool.
Because they got like that, what was that, Salty Lady Michelada?
Oh, yeah.
Fuck, I love that. It's so good.
They have the Salty Lady, but they did like 10 different beers off of that one Salty Lady beer. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. True beer
I am
nerds.
I'm a vodka guy. I drink a lot of beer, but man, Deep Eddy's Ruby Red vodka is like my antithesis, man. It'll knock me down.
That's who you need on the podcast is Deep Eddy.
I don't
Their
know.
lemon vodka.
Pretty good. So I drink the Deep Eddy Ruby Red vodka, the grapefruit,
Yeah.
straight. It's like double.
Aren't they out of Texas?
Huh?
Yeah.
Double on the rocks, straight. Don't need nothing to chase it. The problem is like I've drank a half a tall Yeti cup full of
Yeah.
that before. And like the first couple of bit that you drink is you're good, and then once you finish it, you still think you're pretty good, and then at some point you forget where you were and what happened for the rest of the night. We call that getting rubied.
Ruby?
Yeah.
When I first started drinking, like vodka, Red Bulls was my go-to. And then, a couple of those nights of getting super hammered on those things, it's like the Red Bull, now the smell of it makes you want to throw up. And I spent too many years doing vodka, and I don't know. I can drink it any day, but it has to be with something. Like do the whole Ciroc and Sprite thing. I love that shit with like some of the different berry vodkas and stuff.
Fucking alcoholics.
My favorite beer. Nah, so
This hour is brought to you by AA and NA. Keep coming back. It works if you work it.
So we need to get a backstory on you, Savannah. Where did you come from? What's going on? How'd you get into bikes?
Came out of nowhere. Born and raised in Long Beach, California. California kid. When I started writing, I saw Babes Ride Out. Before it was Babes Ride Out, it was just Babes and Brago. And a friend of mine, Emma, came over to my house on her Triumph. Showed up for the 4th of July party, and I was like, well, shit, if you can do it. My mom had a bike. I just need to start riding. Then I saw Babes Ride Out, posted their thing for Babes and Brago, and it was just a, little camp out, mostly everybody that knew each other, but they posted it on Instagram. Went and got my license, took the MSF class, and bought a little Honda CB360. Kind of just taken off from there.
So what were you doing before you got into bikes?
Gosh, I don't even know. I was married. That was a mistake. So, pretty much making mistakes.
Yeah.
Then
Swap
It's
meet
kind of a-
vintage shop.
yeah, it's a different, that happened after bikes.
Okay.
It's kind of just a different life, I guess. And
Yeah, for sure.
started buying and selling like vintage motorcycle Harley stuff and working at the
When was the first Babes Ride Out? How many years ago was that?
2012 or 13. I think it was.
It was around that time.
This
Yeah.
is like the 9th one.
That's cool. So it's not too far off of Born Freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah, so about 3 years.
Yeah, Born Free was a couple years before that, and then Babes started writing and really haven't looked back.
Yeah, it's been a big thing. I don't know much about it, obviously. I'm not a chick. I don't think guys can go to that thing unless they're with a chick or some shit, or can't at all, or how's that work?
You pretty much can't at all unless the off chance you're working. There's a couple photographers and some dudes to like carry heavy shit and bring us beer and stuff, but that's really it.
Beer made.
Yeah. No, you're like bringing in the cases and then you're done.
Yeah.
I mean,
But then
12 ounces is heavy. I need to be there frequently.
have guys sitting in
beers.
the outskirts just fucking taking pictures of you guys creeping and shit.
Yep.
Well, one of the first years there was
Just
a
gonna
guy
wear
in
a
the
holster.
band and they made him play behind the curtain on stage.
Wow.
We were like, no, we don't need you.
It's a little extra, you think?
No, it was all mostly in good fun,
It was all in jest.
The girls that run it are rad, and they started it. And we camped out on a dry lake bed, and it was the worst road ever. It was sand. It was super sketchy, but we all made it out. There was no bathrooms, nothing fancy, no bands. It was just girls camping by a dry lake bed.
That's cool. No, the whole camp out thing it's worked out well for the Babes Ride Out things, the Giddy Up stuff. That was what really turned my eyes into camping when that was going on.
I miss Giddy Up.
God, it was such a great show. But yeah, going forward, I think that's one of the things people have been talking about with everything going on with this year and like the bigger events kind of losing you know, a lot of people losing money that's invested in these bigger rallies and stuff like that. Well, it's been like a prime time for smaller events to kind of take a big leap into a more prominent event. You know what I mean? And so, you know, smaller campouts turn out to bigger. I think that our campout that we did this year ended up being twice as big as we expected it. Partly because people wanted to, you know, test the waters of, is this virus real enough or not?
That's March, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it was the end of April. So it was like,
okay,
we had just got shut down here. We were shut down for a month, you know.
I don't even know what that means.
Like it's shut down, like the city, nobody, restaurants, all that shit. So
it didn't occur where I was the same as it did everywhere else. It's really weird. Denton was like, "Oh, we're still running and we're in business." And everybody was like, "We're shut down." I'm like, "What do you mean? We have to stay home." "Do you?" "Because I'm going to work today."
Yeah, Wisconsin didn't listen to any of that
someone
either.
told me, they were like, "You can't drive outside." And I was like, "I can. Should I not? But I will."
It's crazy.
And just like straight to the shop.
So once you got on that bike, you know, was that like the barrel roll? How did you get involved with the photography and then becoming so in line with all these brands that you've worked with over the years?
So yeah, I got my Honda, started riding that, moved up to a Sportster shortly after. I parked that Sportster. I went to a mini bike race, and I met my future boss there from SNS, and he was just like, "Hey, you know, I know things have been kind of tumultuous for you in your life. How do you feel about a salary job?" "Doing what?" "Social media." "Well, shit, yeah, okay." He goes, "Well, you got to move to Wisconsin." I'm like, "Sweet, I love Milwaukee. Milwaukee's rad." "Oh no, it's 3 hours away from Milwaukee." I'm like, "Well, fuck it, let's try it. I've lived in California my whole life. Like, if I hate it, I move back.
Yeah,
no big deal." And I mean, yeah, it just kind of happened from there. He handed me a camera and said, "Here, make your content." I don't know how to use a Canon Rebel. Like, there's a lot of buttons on this thing. And yeah, it just kind of happened from there. Got myself a better camera. I left SNS after 3 years doing their social media and just started working for a bunch of other brands. You know, I shoot for Drag Specialties and Between Visionary and whoever else wants photos at events.
That's cool. Yeah, it's hard to figure out how to make money with cameras, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that want to shoot for free and are willing just, you know, if you'll publish their photo, they'll give it to you, which sucks for those of us trying to make some money.
See, I'm you know, being a hypocrite because I'm at the same boat with that. I'm definitely like, oh fuck yeah, I gotta add. You know, I shot that picture. They ended up in Dice for, you know what I mean. So that kind of thing, I dig it, but I'm also like, man, like I'm feeling bad because like some photographers I know get paid to do that shit, and then here I am just trying to get my work out there.
It's one thing to contribute to, like, especially Dice. I love those guys, and I had my bike in Dice, which was awesome. Thanks, guys. But it's another one when you know, somebody goes to the big OEMs and is like, "Oh, I'll shoot this race for you for free," and I'm over here going, "Oh, that's awesome."
Yeah. The big problem too is that I've had this issue with multiple facets of different industries, especially in our industry that we operate in currently. When you say, "I'll do this for $500," knowing damn well you should be doing it for $3,500.
Yeah.
And that company hires you for $500. Well, when you're the $3,500 person at that point, and you go back to that company, they will never pay you $3,500 because you're the $500 guy, and you also just screwed somebody else over. That's the $3,500 guy who comes in doing the top quality, educated, 10 years, 20 years in work.
Yeah.
And now that person can't charge $3,500 to that company because you just stymied that company into believing that $500 is all they got to pay in order to get their content.
Yeah. That's what we were talking about at Bike Night, how there's certain content or there's certain things that I feel like you said, if you post it and you tag them, then it's fair game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much they say if you put anything on social media, then you pretty much no longer own the photo anymore. I think it's in the terms and service on like Instagram and Facebook and all that.
Well, you still, the second you snap a photo as a photographer, you own it. It's copyrighted to you. My thing is, like, if I post something and I tag, you know, a helmet company, or if I tag Harley or whoever I tag, they want to repost it, fair game. I hashtag you or I tagged you or whatever. That's totally fine. When you're like one of those weird repost pages that snags your photos so that they can post, I don't like that.
It's weird because in a weird way, I feel like the repost page is our new magazines.
Kind of.
But there's, you know, obviously there's levels to those guys because some of them have their shit dialed and they, you know, they've built hundreds of thousands of, you know, followers so the content reaches more eyes versus everybody has a club style page. Everybody has a DFW page. You know what I mean? It gets kind of watered down to the point where it's like, fuck, man, like my bike got reposted by 15 different repost pages. And, you know, and there's always a new one popping up, like performance baggers this or blah, blah, blah that, you know.
And yet you're still only getting like 2 or 3 followers out of all the reposts.
You know what's weird is like some of those big ass ones, like Harley Addicts or some of those other ones will have like 300,000 followers, and it's clearly they bought their followers
10,000
or some
likes
shit.
Per post, and then
No, they don't get any of that.
No, it'll be like 500 likes per post.
Yeah,
and they have
it's
2
not
million
even,
followers.
It's not even the correct percentage.
Yeah, at all.
And the metrics is completely wrong.
I don't mind when some of them, if it's a business and I tag them, that's cool. If it's somebody that's using it so they can make money off of my photos without contributing or paying me at all, that sucks.
Yeah. So when you were doing all the social media for SNS, like what was that job entail? Like, I mean, you had to go out and shoot the pictures of the parts, like just
everything,
curating all the content coming in and figuring out where it goes and shit like that.
Everything from product photos, event photos, dealing with all the influencers, you know, people that we gave parts to put on their bikes, and then a shit ton of product knowledge. So that's the hard part with SNS is they expect you to know everything. Mm-hmm. And so I had to sit down and I would sit with my techs and I'd listen to their phone calls and listen to the problems. And, you know, a lot of guys hit you up on Facebook at SNS and they go, what cams should I put in my bike? I'm like, cool. Well, I have 20 questions for you now. How do you ride? Do you ride 2-up? Are you touring? Are you riding twisties? Are you drag racing? You know, if you're riding 2-up, how big are you and how big is she? Mm-hmm. I need to know all these things because I got to figure out what kind of cam you want. So it was, you know, at first I'm running to my tech guys every time.
Yeah.
Eventually, like I got it pretty figured out. I'm pretty good at that now.
Do the questions become the same after time? Like, hey, what seat is that? What bars are those?
Yeah. That's every time I would post something, they're like, what fairing is that? I don't know, man. I'm here to talk about the engine parts. Do you want to know what cams are in that bike? Because I got that. Do you want to know what carburetor that is? It's a Super E. Yeah,
it's like it's funny because when people do that shit now, I think they're all trolling, but they're legit people out there still asking those questions because they, you know what I mean? It weirds me out.
All the time. And I put it on speaker and she eavesdropped on the conversation I was having because it was entertaining about the guy that wanted some work done recently. And he's a nice guy, but he asked all the really basic first timer questions, you know? And again, I'm like, no, don't put air ride on your bike. It's terrible. You know, yeah, we'll ride horrible. He still wants to do a 30. And I'm like, cool, we're putting legitimate suspension in your bike if you're doing that. He's 375 pounds. And I'm like, I bet you bottom out the front end of your bike all the time. He goes, yeah, all the time. And I was like, because you're a big dude. You need better suspension.
But
front and
everybody's
rear.
got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And at least he still wants to do the big wheel thing. That's why the conversation came in. He's like, hey, I'm going to do a neck. And Curtis Hoffman, I guess, one of the guys that he knows bought a bike that Curtis just did. And so that guy just got him a bike. He's like, hey, I want to do a wheel on it. And Curtis said, call you because you're in my area. And the guy's in Houston. I mean, he's kind of close. But yeah, it's like, I'm not going to let him go ahead and do the big wheel at air ride thing. It's like, I don't want any wobble. It's like, let's start by not putting the worst suspension ever on it.
It seems like the big wheel still got some real stronghold on Houston.
Houston's heavy,
and in like the Chicago Great Lakes area.
Oh, big time.
You know, like
big
DA
time.
is still killing it up there doing a lot of those big wheels.
Heavy. And everything they do is clean as hell. I mean, they got a system, they got it dialed in, they got a group of parts they like to work with. They're real open to do some really neat custom stuff too, which is awesome. I
really like Chuck. Me and him hung out a little bit. He took me on a tour around the city and got to know him real well. And man, I could tell he really wants to do like the performance thing, but it's hard for those shops that have been doing these other bikes and their customer bases in this style to kind of get everybody to start transitioning this other direction. Because right now, the big money bikes are still going to be the fat tire baggers. The stereo systems are a big thing, big money maker for a lot of shops. So when you want to kind of start, you know, evolving your business, you know what I mean? It kind of gets tough to start swaying your customers into something they don't understand yet or can't see the coolness of it. Because his little Street Glide, I think he has a Street Glide, a little carbon fiber, has the 41 on the bags and shit. You seen that bike? Fucker's clean, man. Nice, simple. I don't know. I mean, it's not all painted up, so you would think I'd like it if it did, but I like those solid color bikes, man.
A lot
Yeah.
of people are going performance bagger now, though.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not a bagger person. I'm little, so I don't really like big bikes.
Yeah.
And I like skinny little choppers, and my FXR. But a lot of people are going performance bagger. Like our friend Danny Motorwitch has Leading Edge and puts what is it, 159?
Those are 151.
That's
No, it's
159.
159.
That's what I'm doing on the slow rider.
Oh, so is it the
stupid fast.
141 goes to the 159 or something? Or because it was a
No.
151 originally.
Harley's doing.
Well, it was a
the-
151, yes, but he changed the
Changed it.
151 to a 159. And I remember when he first was talking about that, I was like, sweet, more is better. I'm down. And I was going to do 128.
Dude, why is everybody fucking around? Just do a 200 and get it over with.
Okay.
Well, SNS has the 143, and dudes always used to call, and they're like, "I want the 143." I'm all, "Are you drag racing, or are you going to ride this every day?" What's my daily driver?
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah,
you
come
should
on,
be
dude.
smart and get like the 124.
Yeah.
Yeah, mid, like 129, 128, depending on if you're SNS or Leading Edge. Like that, or even the 131. That's great overall power. And there's still a lot you could do with the 131 on top of what it is when you get it from the factory that just kills it. And I mean, there's guys doing 170 horsepower plus in the 120, upper 120, low 130 range.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I did mine, the only thing, I did a thundermax instead of like the actual Harley, recommended tune or whatever. And I was 136 and 146 is straight out of the box with that motor. And then if I could get a better exhaust system, instead of that really, really short TBR, I should be in the probably like 139, 140 to 150 range.
I love Rusty. I think he's an incredible dude. He's super nice, super friendly. But the problem with his pipes is they don't look the style.
Exactly.
But that long pipe makes power, dude.
Trust me, this year
We've had this conversation before. That long pipe makes power.
I've been trying my ass off, and he goes, "Yeah, I'll build you whatever you want. And you can. It's your pipe." I'm like, "No. I want it to be your pipe, and I want you to do it this way."
Yeah.
The problem with all the motorcycle stuff is the look doesn't necessarily make the best power. It's just like all the chopper guys want drag pipes. They look cool, they sound cool, they suck for making power.
So
you
my
get
argument,
like one or the other in most things.
yeah. So my argument with especially the performance thing, is when it first started, then everybody was like, I don't care how it looks, I want it to perform, right? And there's still that there. But when you want it to catch on, and as a brand you want to make money, it has to be appealing. You know what I mean? It has to be appealing. The reason, I think that that bagger race caught so many people's attention. Some of the baggers that were being built in that thing were really eye-catching, like that Saddleman one, and even the Indians and shit. Like, those bikes looked badass. Like, that helps sell things. When people are visual, social media is visual. Like, you can't take a picture of performance, you know what I mean? But you can take a picture of a set of T-bars and a fucking, Saddleman seat. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that helps sell the narrative. That's what helps sell. I mean, my theory on the chopper thing is it came around at the perfect time in culture, because there was this revival of vintage everything in America, from all the TV shows, American Pickers and blah, 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 and this handmade crap, maybe hipster related, I don't know. But the visualization of what, like, Instagram comes along, photography is now a big thing. Choppers look cool as shit. All the people in the chopper world looks cool as shit. This is a great thing to take a picture of. It makes the scene go further. Versus, if it was 20 years ago with the billet choppers, it didn't have that same narrative. It was a TV thing, So I don't know. I got off topic there, but
Yeah, I
That's
totally
my struggle
understand.
was balancing. Like, when I built my chopper, I wanted something that looked really cool.
Yeah.
But it also I worked for SNS, so it had to perform too.
Yeah.
So there's this like weird struggle of, I like the, drag pipe style with these shitty mufflers I got, and they're like, but you need more power. Let's balance it, guys. It's still got to be cute.
I'd totally.
It's fine. It's got to be cute.
I would totally I know that in the vintage chopper world, it's kind of frowned upon to run SNS motors instead of like original shovels or panheads. I don't give a fuck. I run a fucking SNS shovel head like a motherfucker all the way on the road.
I like
Put
not
it in
breaking down.
FXR. Yeah, knowing that I can call somebody that has parts for it available instead of having to get on a Facebook forum and.
No, it's just like any of the brand new knuckle stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all repop cases, and everybody talks down on it. And there's something very romantic about having something original and vintage. I mean, I came up, like, my introduction into
heart.
the hot rod culture and everything is where I come from. man, I love some original stuff. Like everything is old school rod and custom to me. And then it's like, I get involved in motorcycles. I'm like, baggers. Yeah, they're making money. Like, cool, let's do it. But like in my head, I'm just like vintage, vintage, vintage. So when I look at the old stuff, like I want to build a knuckle so bad.
Yeah. Well, what was stuff you know how to do? Like
Moose. I can moose knuckle.
Yeah,
it
if
hard.
you moose knuckle. That's pretty good.
But I want it to be an original case motor. But the problem is like you're spending an ass ton of money. I mean, you spend a lot of money taking a vintage motor and making it work, and then you got to make sure it's
What
right.
was that like? SS has a knucklehead, but isn't it like 10 grand?
Yeah, it's about 10.
10 grand, right? A knucklehead original motor is like 15 grand.
Oh, sure.
At least.
Yeah. No, you're $15,000 to $20,000 for some all numbers matching, fully assembled freaking knucklehead.
If it fucking, you know, and you don't even know if it's like held together with bubble gum and it's going to break as soon as you ride.
That's why you shouldn't buy it if you don't know what the hell you're getting. And that's the thing. It's like if you're buying a knucklehead blind, you're dumb. You're probably going to get hosed. But if you're the person that knows a lot about those motors, and I've started doing a bunch of research about them, I need to know what to look at, the pros and cons of the parts, how to measure it. When I go to buy it, I would rather it be completely tore apart and sitting there in pieces so I can kind of look at it and inspect all the journals and make sure that all the castings are correct and stuff like that. I mean, it's going to be an expensive journey, but
I'm a mechanic to buy that.
Yeah, I'm a big dude and I want this long, skinny bike.
Yeah.
But I got to figure out a way to scale it to where I look right on it too. But
You should see him sitting on my Sportster.
I could tell.
it looks like any adult male sitting on a Strider bike.
Basically. That's basically, he looks like an adult human sitting on a Strider.
I'll still steal it and ride it though.
They're fun, man. Smaller bikes are pretty fun to ride, though. I mean, I don't know about traveling on them, but
You know, everybody talks shit, but like, I've got no rear suspension. I got probably about 70 horsepower on that, which doesn't sound like a ton, but you factor in the fact that I'm little. The bike weighs 350 maybe.
It's super light.
I can keep up with anybody on, you know, whatever dyno you got.
Yeah.
Unless you go crazy horsepower, I can keep up with anybody.
yeah. Sportster's rip. What year Sportster motor is it?
2000.
2000? Yeah.
It was my mom's bike.
They fucking run, man.
I love my Sporty.
Yeah, I love my Sportster. I bought it from my mom, so like it's my baby.
Yeah.
Took it apart, built it in the kitchen because I didn't have a heater in the garage.
Did y'all ever see the video of him riding his Sportster? You didn't see the hood ride video?
I ate shit.
You're the one that went down?
That was you?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was me.
There's more than one person that went down though.
Yeah, but his was the funnest to
Was
watch.
that the one when you 12 o'clock hit the fender and then freaking roll through the intersection? Everybody's like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I caught that more than
He
once.
had his drug backpack on.
It saved me. Saved my back at least.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
But yeah, no, it was no, I like those bikes, man. But so when you were working at SNS, like how, like was it such a culture shock from being, you know, in LA now being stuck in the middle of Wisconsin?
Absolutely.
You know?
I moved there. Fortunately, I moved in July. I got there like July 4th. Knew nobody but my two bosses. And I get there and I move into this little house and the landlord looked at me like I was insane because I have a face tattoo and neck tattoos and she just didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
And I went to the bar and I was just this novelty item. The record just screeches to a stop when I walk in the bar. And everybody there's real nice.
Yeah.
Like it's rad because LA, nobody cares about you.
I love it. Is it like the town you live in? Does it still have the same kind of Milwaukee vibe with all the bars on the corners?
Oh, no. So I was about an hour from La Crosse, which is 3 hours from Milwaukee. La Crosse has more bars per capita than anywhere in the rest of the country. So that is a very college-drunk town. I was about 45 minutes south of that. SNS is in Viola. Viola has 600 people.
Oh, shit.
The town that I lived in had about 4,500. It's a small town. My high school had 4,500 people in it.
My class had 1,200 people.
Exactly. Like my graduating class was about 1,200.
Yeah.
So it was weird. I mean, it's very, Wisconsin's half hippie. There's a lot of the co-op and you can get the Whole Foods and gluten-free. And then the other half is real deer hunter. And I took a job at the bar because it sounded real entertaining. And we had a deer hunting contest. You bring in your deer after you shoot it. I put it up on the scale and weigh it and, you know, count the antlers and everything. And we had contests for that. So it was a shock considering I came from LA.
Yeah.
Did you guys do the full cleaning like in the bar area?
No, that was no. I just had to string it up and weigh it, but it was different because I grew up, in Long Beach.
I think that's one thing I envy about you. My wife's the same way. She's lived in different parts of the country. Like that to me, that's just amazing. I literally live 15 miles from where I came out of my mom. You know what I'm saying?
Right here.
And then I'm 10 miles away from the high school I went to. So it's like part of like the idea of success, in my opinion, is branching out somewhere and feeling like I left this place and created something for myself somewhere else,
I always feel like you should leave where you grew up, even if it's only for a year, even if you come back, if you feel like you miss it, go live somewhere else for a year. Because, everybody thought they're like, where's Wisconsin?
It's up there.
In California, they don't teach you like where the rest. Where Oregon, Nevada, Arizona. You kind of know that Texas is the big one over there. Florida's way over there.
Yeah.
New York is way over there somewhere.
Yeah.
You don't know where Wisconsin is when you come from California. No clue. So
Makes
people
sense.
thought I was insane. I was like, well, if I hate it, I come back.
And you're saying something about like leaving and creating something. As I told her recently, my lease is up on my shop in June. Mm-hmm. My daughter and I just moved out separately. So like she moved in with her mom because that's the house she's moving into. I'm like empty nest syndrome right now. I'm like, where am I going? What's going on? And then I had this really crazy, I told you what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. Man, real crazy last 2 months, just incredible revenue. And I'm like, man, I'm open to do anything, but I'm really looking forward to like, maybe a year from now, just like disappearing and going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready to get gone.
It's great to move somewhere else where you know nobody.
Like shop, house, everything. And then I'd never been to Tennessee until this year.
For real?
And I was like, dude, this place is awesome.
Tennessee is badass.
I don't know that that's the place, but at the same time, I don't think Texas is my forever home anymore because I drive all the time.
Yeah.
I'm always on the damn road, but like you travel all the time. But like something is very appealing to me. The idea of like moving and starting something somewhere else.
As appealing as every place else is that I go to, I'm like, fuck, I could live here. I always think about, but man, from here to LA is like fucking forever. Mm-hmm. And here is like the perfect spot.
We're Center Coast, man.
Yeah, like
this is a great area to be in.
I really enjoyed. That's why I really do like Texas, because I can go to Florida, I can go to New York, I can go to Sturgis, I can go to freaking LA, all in the same time frame.
It's not just Texas, right? It's like, for me, it's North Texas because
you're correct. North
right
Texas
here,
is where it's at.
Yeah, right.
I will
Texas
never live
like
in Houston. Sorry about all you H-Town boys, but fuck Houston.
Dude, if you
It's like 8,000 miles away. I think Houston is actually farther because you have to go through all of Texas.
Yeah, it's like
Houston's only 4 hours away.
I refuse to believe that because I drove across Texas and I think it took me like
if you drive
12
across,
days.
if you drive across, not down, then it takes. It's like I think it's
You can drive from here to Houston and back faster than you can drive from here to El Paso.
yeah.
Driving across Texas. Do you remember like the Lamb Chop song, the song that never ends? That's what Texas is. It's the state that just never ends.
You know what's weird though? There's something about it that's starting to change because I never valued the terrain that we have here. Like I never thought of it as anything. It's like I grew up with this, even Texas as a whole, and then you go to like Colorado or New Mexico or California, and you see these mountains. You're like, fuck, this is different. But then, this last year and a half or so, 2 years, I've been riding to places I've been in Texas. I'm like, fuck, this is cool. I dig this, like I'm just now hearing about Broken Bow, Oklahoma. That's kind of like
never heard about Broken Bow?
No, I mean
It's
I've heard about it.
beautiful, dude.
Yeah, apparently it's like a fucking little mountain town,
It's a destination for sure.
and it's like 2 hours from here.
It's beautiful.
I don't know. I'm
Well, that whole area, like where Broken Bow is, like from there all the way over to like Hot Springs, Arkansas, back down into our area, that square of what is like northeast Texas / Oklahoma, Arkansas. Man, that area is badass.
It's crazy because it is badass, and like even like with Adam Sandoval's campground up there at K River, like that area is dope. It's K River. It's just that like.
Made the sign.
I know. It's a pretty cool sign. Well, eventually when we do the T-shirts, I was going to put that sign in the T-shirt for the Fast Life camp out.
It's because you got a hard on for me.
No. No.
Okay.
You gonna make me a sign, motherfucker?
Fuck. Adam already made you a sign. You
I
didn't
need a
ask
cool
me.
one in here, dude, with lights.
Tell me all about it.
But the only thing that's different about some of these areas is they haven't turned into like trendy, you know, like when we were in Jackson Hole, Wyoming this year doing the, like all those little mountain towns up there, they turn into these little, I don't even know the word is. They get gentrified is what happens.
It's
you know?
touristy as shit too, man. And then the problem is like there's a bunch of temporary people in town all the time. And so like the people and the culture in those towns that see a lot of travel, they're not normal. Because they're jaded by all of this in and out. And they're like locals versus travelers, but that's their economy, you know?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Wisconsin. That's everybody from Chicago wanted to be a farmer and be vegan and gluten-free, and then they all moved to Wisconsin, so that town's half like
Where farmersonly.com came from?
Pretty much every part of Illinois is like that. Illinois, how do you say it?
Illinois.
Is like that. You know, as I rode up there from St. Louis, it's like there was nothing between St. Louis and Chicago. It's like it's farmland, the whole fucking state. So
well, then they all move it's the Chicago people that move up to Wisconsin, and then it just becomes this weird like gentrified kind of rich hippie thing going on. So it was weird because you had people in a farmland like that who don't want you to eat cows. Well, we live in farmland, that's what we're doing. And then it's become a thing lately. Like I see a bunch of friends of mine and just people like I follow are moving to they want acreage. You know, they grew up in the city and they're going, that was cool that you did that. Like I want a farm. Yeah, it's actually kind of fun. It's nice having your own land when you can ride your own dirt bike on your property and make yourself jumps and shit. So much fun.
See Adam's little compound he's got going on now?
I noticed that he has a big ass backyard.
He does have a big backyard, and I think he moved some dirt in and made some jumps. And you know, both his little kids have got freaking dirt bikes and stuff too.
He needs a little boy.
He's got two little badass.
I know his daughters are awesome.
They're so fucking cool.
You'd be surprised. I do a lot of races and stuff for work, and some of those little girls are way tougher than the boys. Then they feel like they got something to prove, and they're like, "Well, I can do it too." So they'll race way harder than what I watch little girls roll their UTVs over and stuff. They're way tougher.
So to speak on that real quick, you work for UTV Sport Magazine out of Havasu, right?
Fun.
Yeah, so it's not quite motorcycles, but it's still
Power sports.
Still rad as
still
shit.
power. You give me anything with an engine and I'm down.
Yeah.
So last year I got to go out to King of the Hammers. Got a lot of friends that go out there and race. Just it's been a part of my community forever because I actually started the automotive industries in off-road. So I followed that for the last 20 plus years. And then interestingly enough, like Neil, do you know my buddy Neil Reimer? He was my apprentice a long time ago anyway. So he just all of a sudden started getting more into the off-road community. I end up at King of the Hammers last year. Now she's working for UTV Sport Magazine. It's like all my friends are going to be there in a month. Her birthday's the end of the month, so we're going to have a big party down in Johnson Valley.
Well, I mean, you think about it, like motorcycles
Come see
on
us
road go
January
together
31st.
too.
Yeah.
You know, like Jessie Combs was land speed racer and did all the off road stuff, and she had all her stuff. So she was a friend of mine. Like it's rad to see all of that, and I see a lot more motorcycle people. And then there's a motorcycle race out there too.
Do you ever feel like I'm kind of being the asshole here, but do you ever feel like people like chase the trendy things instead of like not saying I'm trying to word this right. Like I love bikes, you know what I mean? I'm not really a big dirt bike fan. You know what I mean? I can appreciate it, but like because it's a motorcycle too doesn't really appeal to me. Same thing like sport bikes. Like I dig it.
Dirt bikes are a lot of fun. And I know you're all about that biker boy life. Don't lie. I've seen pictures.
I do think a lot of people chase stuff. I mean, even in just bike culture, I see a lot of people, using their motorcycle as a pretty accessory, which sucks. And you can tell when you look at the odometer. Did you ever ride that?
Well, there's definitely a lot of people, especially now in our current generation of bikers, that were inspired from the dirt bike shit that really the freestyle stuff that took place in the early 2000s to even the skateboard kids that went to dirt bikes that on choppers and stuff. Like I'm not saying that it's like they're selling out by doing this. I'm just saying like it feels weird that I feel like I see a lot of people that just kind of like chase what's trendy. Like, remember everybody was building big wheels, and then UTVs became a thing, so they started lifting those, and so people started selling their bikes to go get these things to go to like Rednecks and Paychecks and all this other crazy shit. And I'm like,
which if you've never been to Rednecks and Paychecks and you want to talk shit on it, then you need to just hush your mouth and go. It's so much fun.
I've never heard of it, but
It's
it sounds
so
real entertaining.
fucking amazing. So I remember.
I'm not saying that
I remember
it's
when
not
Rednecks
fun.
with Paychecks was nothing but an off-road rock race event that turned into a giant mud bog, ass titty showing, dick
Yeah.
swinging contest.
So, like,
freaking get
every
drunk
bike
fest.
rally, yeah.
It's insane, dude. There's some people that have more money than common sense, and if you ever want to see where that exists, Rednecks with Paychecks is probably,
Yeah.
other than Glamis, is probably somewhere you want to
There's
go see
plenty
it.
of plenty of rallies that are more people with money than common sense.
Oh,
too.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. But you know, so I mean, to speak on that, like, are you going to be upset that people are chasing trends? Because don't trends also generate the revenue that helps, like, maintain momentum for the industries that
Yeah,
you
so
are involved
I
in?
guess
So
that's why
is it okay to allow them to be their own trend-setting groups and then ignore them and just continue to do your own thing, knowing that there's like a financial security within your own industry?
Breathe. Okay. So it's not. That's why I was saying it's hard to. I was having a hard time navigating that point because I didn't really understand it fully. To say, I'm not saying that I don't like people chasing trends, because I don't necessarily chase trends, but if something becomes appealing to me and it's in my wheelhouse of what I want to do, then I definitely do it. Like, I like adventure bikes. I don't really want one to go ride off road though. You know what I mean?
So it depends. Like, if you're thinking about, I mean, a lot of people are getting into dirt bikes right now, but I see it a lot with my friends in California. They started on their Harley on the street, and now they're going, you know, it's real sketchy to ride on the street in LA. I started out doing that, and I started splitting lanes, and I've lost a lot of friends that way.
It's a lot of
We're
fun.
trying to get it past here.
It's also a lot of, it's
so
also a lot of fun too.
It's a lot of fun,
in rush
but
hour traffic.
LA can be sketchy as shit on the
Yeah.
road. So when you see your dirt bike and you're like, oh, like, now I can focus on the actual riding and not dodging cars trying to kill me.
Yeah.
So
It's the same thing, like riding street versus track. You know, a lot of people are migrated that want to ride really, really hard, or migrating to track days because they just love the riding hard part more
Yeah.
than they just like the riding.
Well, I
And
big
it's the
time encourage
safety.
that. Yeah. So, like, put it like this. So I've been riding since 2004, and when I rode sport bikes, I was interested in stunt riding for a while. Did that for a little bit. Never was a stunt rider, but you know, it's easy to pop a wheelie on a sport bike, and then got into I kind of got into drag racing a little bit once I got a bigger bike, you know, a leader bike. Realized that that's a money pit thing, you know what I mean? Then I got into building show bikes. And so it's like the bike thing, it's kind of like I dip my toe in it and find out, I like this, it's fun, but let me try this now. Let me try this. And I've been able to go down the line for the last, 16 years now and try all these different things out. And then when Harley came around, it was obviously the big wheel thing that kind of brought me into the Harley space. But then falling in love with these bikes that I skipped over, because I went from basically a Gixxer 1000 to a Road Glide. And then from a Road Glide, I went to a Dyna. And then I started going back to FXR and things like that.
you came at it backwards then.
Yeah.
Because
big
most
time.
people start on a dirt bike and then move up, to a small CC bike, or they either go sport bike or they go Harley. It's usually one or the other. And
Well, back in the early 2000s, like the Harley thing was just deemed as it was too expensive for someone that was 20 years old to afford.
Which is insane because it's not.
Yeah, because, well, at the same time, like, I didn't have friends that were into this shit that could kind of, like, show me. Like, oh, no, man, you could do it this way, and I can get you set up on this little, chopper right now, or this, Sportster or whatever. I didn't have a circle of friends that can kind of help usher me into that. So I became that for a lot of my friends, though, once I started riding bikes. I was like, man, I can find you a Gixxer 600 right now, bro. Look, check it out. Bam, bam, bam. Remember Auto Trader flipping through the
all the time.
Cycle
But I
Trader?
we were just talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
Like, I used to buy the Auto Trader every Thursday and flip through that thing to find
Yeah.
all the stuff I want.
But the
Like Joe
thing is
Dirt.
too is like you were there to
Yes.
guide people into the sport bikes.
Yeah.
Whereas like the conversation was had like Harleys are expensive, it's big money, type stuff. But the truth is it really wasn't.
Yeah.
We just always heard that, and so a lot of guys never went that direction because
Yeah, we just
they
skipped
didn't
it.
even go to buy it because they want to skip right over it.
Yeah, there's just a lot of misinformation.
I mean, like nowadays you can go buy
Buy a Sportster for $2,000 right now.
Yeah, all day.
I guess that's coming from people who just go to Harley and they look at all
Right.
the prices on the
Oh,
floor.
$20,000, man. Harleys
Yeah,
are expensive. Yeah. you can go buy a freaking Dyna right now for like $3,500, $4,000 just about anywhere.
That's why I don't have a brand new Harley, but I got 2 of them.
Brand news. That's good. It feels good about it. You get to ring the bell. You get a T-shirt.
I didn't even get to
20
ring the
grand.
bell. I was really upset about that.
I've ridden the new Harleys.
Bought
and I
that
love them.
lowrider S, and I
Yeah.
was like, you ain't got no bell. I can't be one of them weird guys and get the free poker chip.
What do you do for me that makes me like? I remember I bought my first one was a 2012 Road Glide, and I bought it brand new, and I bought it from Corinth Harley.
Oh, Maverick.
Yeah. So
Oh, no.
I don't know what Eagle something.
Something, yeah.
And yeah, you get like 2 T-shirts, ring a bell, and then they take you around to everybody so that you can try to buy some shit from them. Oh, fuck, this thing's burping me.
It's that
That's
pickle
that
beer.
best made burp right there.
Yeah, but no, it's like I was saying, like when I was growing up, I worked in the Harley world, but working with Gary at Other Side Customs and doing all the work with Rick and stuff, it's like we were working on $50,000 to $100,000 choppers, right? That was the big thing. That's what we were painting at that shop, and so
Those early 2000s. Yeah.
so it was like
OG biker build.
definitely not like I'm like fuck, I can't eat. There was a wrecked F4i sitting outside the shop that got rained on every day that I bought for like $1,200. That was my second bike because my first one got stolen. I didn't know that you're not supposed
stolen,
to.
huh?
Well,
Like, that's
2 bikes in my
that's
whole
2?
life. Yeah, the first bike I got. I had it for 2 weeks, and I didn't really understand that motorcycles were hot targets for apartment complexes. I walked out the house one day with my helmet on, my jacket on, ready to go ride. Walked down 3 flights of stairs to find no bike there. That was the worst feeling I've ever had in my life.
Please
It's
don't.
like somebody died.
Don't make me cry on a podcast.
Yeah.
That'll make me cry.
Second to freaking doing a podcast and walking outside and realizing that the bike you just rode all the way across the country was also stolen.
Yeah. That was a good time too.
I've been lucky. I think
Was that
people are
Jetty's bike?
scared of me.
Jetty's
Yeah.
bike, yeah.
Yeah, I think
It was my friend's bike too.
I think people
It wasn't
are
even his bike.
people are scared enough of me that they won't steal my bike, and they shouldn't.
Well, I think that crackheads don't understand. They have no fear, and that's who stole the second bike. Actually,
I don't park anywhere crackheads go.
I didn't know. You know what's crazy? Of all the places I've ridden to, hung out in, I've ridden and hung out in the worst parts of Stockton, California. Felt safer than I did in Indianapolis. Let's put it like that.
Pretty terrible.
Indianapolis, they got me. Even hanging out with fucking Patrick down there, Royal T, down in
Oh,
the
yeah.
9th Ward, I felt more safe than.
Dude, I tell you what, I remember once Patrick and I done a bunch of work together, but he was telling me once, he was on his way back to the shop and he was FaceTiming me. He was like, dude, look at this guy. Hold on, wait a minute. Click, FaceTime. This dude's just laying in the middle of the road. I was like, he had a F250, F350 or something at the time with like train horns on it and shit.
Yeah.
He rolls right up to this dude laying in the middle of the freaking road down the street from his shop, blasts the train horns on the guy in the middle of the road. He didn't even flinch. And he goes, dude, I think that dude's fucking dead. And then he drove to the shop. Like,
It's not my problem.
It was like last year, he was like, there was a shootout right in front of the shop.
He used to always post videos of the drug dealings,
Dude,
dealing right in front of his shop.
He got that place so cheap though too. It was like
It's a dope spot,
it was a
though.
dentist office
That
or
was a
something.
speakeasy. But they had a lot of. He said it had a lot of X-rays, like gunshot, knife wounds. It was like a little like
It was a medical office
Yeah,
of some sort,
yeah.
but it was like underground shit.
like where
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you got shot,
You
or
got
stabbed,
fucked up
didn't
and you
want a
wanted some
doctor
underground doctor.
or
That's what it was.
hospital.
Yeah. You go down there and get like your bullet taken out and shit.
Yeah.
Your boy stabbed you with an X-Acto knife. I got you, boo. Come on in. I'll hook you up for $29.99.
No thanks.
Speaking of which, I need to hit him up. He needs to give me a pipe for my bike. I did the tins on that. You seen the bike that he did that's at the Haas Museum?
The Born Free one.
Yep.
Yeah,
That bike's dope, dude.
I saw it. I think it was a year. No, I think
that's
that was the
that was
year.
3 years ago.
I can't remember if it was a year I went to Born. I've been to Born Free twice, but one year I skipped it.
What year did
That
you go?
bike is dope.
I went last year. I didn't go the year before, and then
So it was 2 years ago. It was 3.
Yeah, so he went. It was
10.
18. I didn't go in 18.
So you know
I
the
went
story
17.
about the motor that he's got.
Yeah, it was
like,
the guy from New Zealand,
Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a land speed bike. Mm-hmm. It is a overhead valve
Someone
converted
stole it.
flathead. It was stolen by some Hell's Angels and shit.
Yeah.
It was floating around Long Beach area. Jesse ended up with it like in his shop, like ornamentation just sitting up on a shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And then Patrick asked him about it at one point to build it, did a bunch of research on it, and then found out that like the son
Apparently the guy came out, right?
The son of the father and son couple that built the bike and the motor that made the land speed record. He ended up contacting him. That's technically stolen property at this point too.
Yeah.
Like still, he was totally cool with it. Gave him specs on it. Told him how to rebuild it. Like everything he needed to know. He totally rebuilt the whole thing. And the guy flew out to see it at Born Free, like fire up and run for the first time. And I helped him do the gas tanks and the
That's
oil
when he
tank
painted like
and
a
the fender.
Newport cigarette
It looks
case.
just like a Newport. It's so gangster, dude. You'll love it so much. So it's so his style too.
Yeah.
You know why his shit's called Royalty, right?
Yeah, his mom.
His
used
mom,
to,
his
sign
mom's
it.
like but she's like a gangster rapper. She can
She
like
loves,
spit bars and shit.
yeah.
And so like she used to sign all her shit Royalty.
Yeah.
It was like
For her last
Teresa or
name.
something
No,
like
her
that.
last name's Tilbury.
I can't, oh, that's right. Yeah. So he was like, that's my mom's gangster name.
Well, yeah, he's we did the podcast with him a couple years ago. He was supposed to come this year on the way back from the one show because him and Dump Truck drove up there, and then they had a problem with their Sprinter van or some shit like that.
They
And
had
then-
like 8,000 problems with their Sprinter.
yeah.
van.
Yeah.
And then so I think Patrick ended up flying home, and then he just left the problem for Dump Truck to deal with, I think.
Yeah. Well,
But no, so what like now that you've done all the what made you want to leave SNS, or just like trying new shit or getting out of there, or what?
Just, time to go. I stayed in Wisconsin for a little while, but it's the cool part about working for a company like that and that being your job is you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But it was constantly, I got to focus on the engine. They moved into exhaust, so there was a lot of that. But it was for the most part bagger stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody uses some SNS, but the majority of their customer are baggers.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I'm a chopper kid.
Yeah.
I love my little Sportster. I love vintage stuff. So it was time to kind of branch out. And it was rad because I got to work for Drag Specialties. I get to work with all these other rad brands. Shoot a little bit for all of it.
Drag's not too far from them, right?
No, they're in I think Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Kenosha.
Yeah, which was a
Isn't
couple
that where
hours.
the little homeboy had to let him have it.
Yeah, and I got to work for kind of whoever wants, Jeff from V-Twin. I shoot for him a lot at events, stuff like that. It's rad to get to vary what I'm shooting instead of just focusing on, there's an SNS engine.
That's pretty cool that you kind of, in a sense, got forced into photography.
I got absolutely
Yeah.
forced into it. I thought my job was social media, and he goes, here's your camera, shoot photos. I'm all, how am I supposed to shoot like engine photos? I mean,
Yeah. So what was your process like learning that trade?
sitting with the techs a whole lot. Just sitting.
No,
and
like learning the camera.
Learning the photography. So I got really fortunate that I became friends with Michael Lichter, who is
Good guy to be friends with.
yes.
the king of motorcycle photography. I don't know
Yeah.
what else to call him.
No, I would
is-
definitely say that he's
100%.
he's motorcycle photography royalty.
Yeah.
He is.
To put that in Jace's type context.
Yeah.
And he knows.
No, he's one of my idols. So
Yeah, so Michael has taught me a ton. He shoots a different camera than me, but you can just follow him around, and he's super sweet and will always stop to teach you
Yeah.
things. And then
I'm supposed to be going up there to see him up in Denver. I want to go do a podcast with him, but I want to do it at his studio.
yeah,
Mainly because I want to see his setup.
Yeah, of course.
he's kind of been home for the year,
Yeah.
just hanging
His
with family and
him and
whatnot.
his family are trying to keep him safe and
Yeah.
away from people for sure. Even
Yeah,
his
we had
show-
a
even his
long
show
talk
this
right
year.
before Sturgis because he was, because we got connected through some other people, so he now knows who I am, and I've always known who he is, and we were gonna do a podcast, but I didn't want to do it over the phone, man. I try not to do the phone shit.
No.
I want to do it in person, and I have family in Boulder, so it's kind of easy to just. And it's only like 800 miles from here. Drive up there one day.
And his studio and his whole setup is killer, and
Yeah.
he has the best of the best stuff. And he's, I mean, you walk into that studio, and even his temporary studios, and they're incredible.
yeah.
So I got to learn a lot from him, and a few other photographers, and I've been fortunate enough to hang out with some of the people who've been around a long time, like Marilyn Stemp and Chris Simmons, who are both, same thing I do, like they were the original women motorcycle journalists. Chris Simmons started Harley Women back in the 80s. And she is, it's funny because a lot of people don't know who she is.
I don't know who she is.
She's a cannonball racer. Her name's Chris Simmons. She's married to Pat Simmons of the Doobie Brothers.
You know what the cannonball is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she rides her bike, I think it's 1919?
1919.
Isn't it like a cap, like 1920 or something
Yeah,
like
it's
that?
1926.
It's got to be 100 years old.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. So
It has to be 100 years old. So
She
right
rides
now
her
it's
bike,
1919. Now it's
Yeah.
1920.
21?
Nope, 1920, because 1920 would mean it's 100 years
Yeah.
old. We're in 2021.
So she rides her bike Effie on the Cannonball. She's a badass. I
Yeah.
mean, one of the original, she did photography, she did motorcycle journalism, like
Oh, okay.
Long before
I think I
any of
know
us
who
did.
she is now because I
She's
was
a badass, man.
Yeah, not like in depth, but I think I was talking to the
she
dude
does a
that runs
podcast with Michael. Or not a podcast, it's Cycle Source, the Coast to Coast. Yeah.
I was talking to the dude, one of the dudes that does a lot of the stuff at the Harley Museum, and he does the cannonball shit. And he was talking about it, and I think we talked about her. I don't know. I've heard of her. Now.
You know who Marilyn is, don't you? Marilyn, she writes for the Buffalo Chip like every day, every single day.
She
they
did
publish.
Ironworks magazine back in the day.
Yep. And then every day they publish the Buffalo Chip Gazette, or what is
Yeah.
it called? Like it's a daily.
A daily newspaper in Sturgis.
In Sturgis, and you're probably not aware of it, but there is a daily Sturgis Buffalo Chip Gazette, and she writes it.
It's a full newspaper.
Yeah.
What the hell they had to talk about?
Everything
Lots.
from the day before, they go over the shows that they had that day, and then
What's
they talk about what's coming up for the
current
next day.
events and schedules.
What,
and all
throughout
that
the
stuff.
whole year?
No, they do it during
Just
the
during
rally.
Sturgis? Oh, yeah, there's plenty of shit to talk about then.
Yeah.
I'm like, right now, there ain't nothing going
But
on.
she's a badass. She puts a lot of work into that, and she also organizes the Flying Piston benefit breakfast
That we've both built Striders for.
That's cool.
and multiple art pieces.
So what, like I said, I think you said the other day you were living in like Bullhead City or something like that now?
Yeah, I'm out in Arizona, so I'm working in Havasu, and that's just temporary for now.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I inherited my mom's place, so I'm working
That's
on...
right, yeah.
Yeah, working on selling that and figuring out kind of where I want to go. It's nice
It's
to
a
be
tough
central.
one. Where are you leaning towards right now?
I don't know. Somewhere in the middle of the country, so it's closer
Yeah.
to everything. Texas isn't too bad.
I think that if I was going to stay in Texas, I would probably end up going southish, southwest. Not Austin, like further south than that.
I do like Austin. I like Galveston. I do Lone Star Rally in Galveston. So I do the social media and marketing for that. I don't think I'd want to live in Galveston.
Me neither.
No.
The hurricane
No.
thing kind of
I don't want to be that close to Houston.
I don't want to be that close to Houston. I want to be anywhere near the freaking.
Fucking start
I don't know
riding
enough about
donks.
Houston.
It's fucking
Gold
humid
tooth it up.
as
Yeah.
shit down there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
humid as
I'm out.
shit.
Humid.
And just the hurricanes kind of.
Yeah.
Mountain
I'm
hurricane flood
really
thing.
in love with some of those towns that are kind of like northwest of San Antonio, kind of on that I-10.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Kerrville or something like that, or Kern, something like that.
I've got friends in like Corpus Christi, and I really like New Braunfels when I was there for Giddy
I
Up.
love
That
New
was
New Braunfels
incredible.
it's New Braunfels. You can always say New Braunfels. There's an extra S in it every time you say it. It eats me alive. So here's the thing about that, and why it eats me up so
That's
much.
what happens when someone listens to
Are
everything
you ready?
I say.
Yeah.
Because
I do that too.
my great so many great grandfathers ago, Tischmeister Jan, him and 4 carpenters were given the land grant to establish New Braunfels. So you
New
go
Braunfels.
Yeah, sure. You go down there, and there's Jan Street, there's Jan
Yeah.
Carpentry, there's Jan Butcher Shop, and all that stuff. Well, our family name used to be Jan, and so like one of my grandfathers helped establish that community.
Yeah, dude, that whole area, even just it's like Austin's dope, but Austin's like is kind of like the hub for that dopeness, right? But I don't really like it down in Austin much. But as soon as you get
New Braunfels,
New Braunfels,
correcting Jace
and
forever
then
now.
like some of those other towns that are off like 281 and shit,
All
dude,
of
I
that
love
area
it,
down there, man, is super cool. Anything that is, I mean, like Bee Cave and all those areas.
I can't afford that's
down
like
there.
Joe Rogan
No,
shit over there.
no, that's some Jesse James territory. Yeah. But like that whole area down there in the Texas Hill Country is beautiful, man. And I mean, you've been down and visited Mark. I mean, there's nothing cooler than riding some of those roads. Because
I wouldn't mind being by Mark, but
I wouldn't live necessarily like Cedar Park isn't terrible area, but like that's not where I'm gonna like move from North Texas
move
to go
Georgetown. I like Georgetown.
Georgetown's dope. Downtown Georgetown is awesome.
I haven't been, but
There's a lot of really neat hipster food.
Awesome.
So you want to
avocado toast? Here we come.
I love some avocado toast, man.
That shit's good as
all day.
Yeah, I hate to admit it, but it's really
it's
pretty good.
I wouldn't say it wasn't bad. I'm just saying it's a hipster food. It's $15. It's like buying a goddamn steak at
Bob's Chop and Steakhouse.
I don't know, but yeah, I when I'm in, my wife's from LA, so when I'm there, I always want to live there. Like, there's just something about it. Like for me in Texas, when I'm there, I feel plugged in and energized. Versus, I think some people there have. I think some of the people that live in LA might not have as much of a hustler, go get it attitude at the same time because everything is a little more mellow and stuff. But when I'm there, I'm like, fuck, man, like let's do this, and like I have this energy that I get when I get out there that I feel plugged into it.
I love LA. I don't ever want to live there again.
Never.
I mean, I could get an apartment about the size of this studio for $1,600 maybe.
Oh fuck yeah!
With no parking spot, like I really like having a garage. Having acreage that I can screw around on. I used to snowmobile and dirt bike on my own property. Like that was rad. So I don't think I could live in LA again. But it is a rad spot.
I don't know if LA is the one I want. I think that I get when I ride between like San Francisco and LA, kind of coast, like San Luis Obispo, all those areas. I like that shit. Is it really expensive out there?
That whole area is expensive. You talk about like LA and South on the coast?
I just feel like
you're talking San Francisco. So
no,
LA,
not San Francisco.
LA,
I'm not even talking about directly. I'm not even really talking
shit.
about directly on the coast. I'm just saying like some of these towns that are off like the 101 and shit that are pretty close to things.
Everywhere off the 101's expensive.
For real? Okay.
Yeah, I mean like 20 miles outside one direction,
So,
and then
pretty much just the Central Valley is cheap for the most part.
I don't know, man. I got to
It's cheap out there,
dude.
Even the valley's expensive.
Yeah, and I mean, even like when you start getting south of LA, like Marietta and shit, dude. I got a friend that moved from Marietta to Oklahoma City.
Like you can rent 3-bedroom.
Marietta.
Oh, here we go.
MURR. Marietta.
So,
whatever. $750,000 house in a freaking regular planned development.
Yeah.
You like moved to Oklahoma and bought 20 acres in a house.
So I was heavily considering moving there in 17, and I looked up, man, like there's certain areas like Lancaster, which is not necessarily an ideal area, but you can get a 3-bedroom, 2-car garage for like $1,500.
Well, I mean, you look at like where Biltwell is out in Temecula. That is coming from someone who's grew up in Long Beach. That is way out there.
Yeah,
that's like, oh, Temecula. Shit, that's far away.
Yeah,
that's desert.
Yeah, but I mean, we're kind of used to that stuff here in Texas. Like,
it's travel.
Yeah, anywhere you go is going to take some time to get.
Yeah, I mean, I've driven her all over North Texas in the last week, and she gets it. It's like I think we probably put 600-800 miles on my truck just driving around doing random shit.
But I mean, I drive for a living, so I'm used to that.
Well, even like from where your shop is up in Denton to here it's
an hour and
60, 70 miles.
Yeah, hour and 15 minutes if I do the speed limit. Yeah. I've been here in 45 minutes on my bike before.
I remember we did that podcast with Jeff and Danny, and you like showed up right at the end of it.
Yeah, you guys just started. You're like, we're starting a podcast. Can't talk. And then you hung up. I freaking got here, I don't know, like at 115, 130 miles an hour.
Can I just mention that Jeff got engaged last night?
Oh, yeah.
I saw that. And did you hear?
She said yes?
No, did you hear what she said first?
She goes, are you sure?
Yeah. And he goes, are you?
And then she goes, fucking took you long enough.
That's so both of them, though. Yeah. It's so them.
Yeah, it's congratulations on those guys. They had a rocky road, but they figured it out. So
absolutely,
that's what it's all about. Yeah, no, I saw that. It feels like everything's starting to come together with Jeff. Getting out of LA. Getting the situation out there Fuck no, I don't drink that white trash shit.
Whatever. I ain't got no problem with white trash beer.
It's not Coors Light, it's Coors.
It's fucking Banquet, bro.
I'm good. I drink that stuff after I'm drunk and there's nothing else left. But I don't want to be on camera drinking shit willingly.
Sorry about your ego.
Eagle's big, dude. It's a big one.
I didn't know Dixon sold a fucking beanie that big.
Dixon specializes in
one
big
size.
sizes.
Yeah. I was talking to Danny once. I was like, dude, did you make all your clothes like a size larger so that I'm used to wearing a 2X, but your XL fits me perfectly, so I'd feel better about myself?
It is.
Yeah.
It's a psychological thing for sure.
Yeah.
So she's also got an art show.
You do art?
No, and she has an art show.
Oh, you do
Well, I
art
do
shows.
the photography, but I started Moto art show. So I got like 24 women who all do different various arts, from some photographers, illustrators, painters. I've got a blacksmith and a lady who does stained glass. Carla, she's really rad. So I started, it was supposed to start in 2020, like so many things were. And then, the world kind of fell apart. So my plan of debuting it Born Free was not going to happen. So hopefully, crossing my fingers and knocking on wood, if things go right this year, I get to debut the art show. And it'll be at, the basics, Born Free, Sturgis, Daytona, hopefully Mama Triad, all those, because Mama Triad's at the end of the year now.
I think that was a good move, too. Well,
It was a very smart move.
yeah. So, but no, that's cool. There is a lot of art in motorcycles, period. And I think that Born Free's always done a good job. Like they would do like the helmet paint, things like that. But there's just so many different facets of it now too. It was like, how do you really put this all in a show? From a leather worker to
some of the sponsors she has are really key into, the environment that we all travel and work into. So
yeah.
So yeah, the thing is, for the most part in motorcycles in general, it's all men.
Yeah.
And there's a few they had Susie build a bike for Born Free last year, for the biker Built Wells.
People's Champ.
Yeah, People's Champ. But there's not a ton of women that really get spotlighted. So I was trying to do that. And
I don't really know of any chicks in like the actual vintage chopper scene that are building bikes.
I mean, it's not just choppers. So I'm trying to do I'll have a couple bikes built by whoever's local, but I really wanted to spotlight some of the female artists. So my friend Christina, she does killer helmets. She's a tattooer, does art. She actually did my logo, but there's some photographers who are really rad. There's some illustrators who are really rad. All kinds of stuff. And there's not a lot of women that really just get the representation in the shows. You might have a show and you have one female artist. So I want to do something that was just all chicks to help promote it. So that's my goal that hopefully we get to debut this year.
She had a handful of artists paint some
bell
bullets. So she's got she has these display panels that are basically 7 foot tall, 4 foot wide-ish. And they're, she built all the frames and all the stands and stuff for them too. But they'll house all the art pieces. And so Memphis Shades donated to fairing so that they could have an artist paint the fairing.
Yeah.
Regardless of the style of what it is, just a place for them to display their art. So it was
Harley signed on to sponsor the show. And
that's good. You gotta put the mic in front of your mouth, dude.
Whatever.
You're
He's talking to the side of it.
I am talking. I try to talk to the side of it a little bit so I can burp and then look at it.
Yeah, that's just too many beers.
So I don't have my headphones on because I can't meter it, But yeah, you're fucking up, bro.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
So Harley signed on to sponsor the show, and they've been really rad and trying to help and push things. So
yeah.
Harley's really, really pushing to get more women on bikes, which is
I feel
awesome.
like they've been doing that for quite a while, and I feel like they've done it. I mean, I feel like with the Babes Ride Out taking place, and now there's all these. That spawned so many other little smaller events and cliques of women that are doing things, and I feel like it's stronger than ever. I mean,
we've gone from at a certain point it was 10, 11%. I think it's up to 18, 19% now. Percentage of ridership is women.
Yeah,
but that's still not enough. I'm still poking all the girls I know. I teach safety class.
It's never enough, right?
Yeah, I teach safety class, so every time all these. It's intimidating as a girl to start riding
True.
It's a man's thing, you know, and, oh, honey, how are you going to be able to handle that big bike?
See, I don't feel like, well, obviously I'm not a woman, so I don't really know the
It's the random
the
dirt bag at
steps.
the gas station.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, you can handle that big bike?
Is that your boyfriend's bike?
Is that your dad's?
Did he let you ride that today?
Yeah.
Does he know that you took it?
Where's your old man at?
Yeah.
Is he coming out of the shitter?
I've literally had dudes be like, oh, where's your old man at? And I'm like, oh, shit. I lost him.
He fell off the
What am I
back.
going to do? How am I going to ride this big motorcycle all by myself? It's
Yeah.
a
Huge
white,
fucking eye roll at
it's
that
a
point,
purple
too.
and white Sportster, bro. Like, do you really
Yeah.
think my old man rode it?
Well, I think for a lot of guys, that's probably like they think they're being funny and cute. And, you know, it's like an opening line for, oh, so you want to get your number or some shit like that?
Sometimes, and sometimes they legit just don't believe
Yeah.
that you can ride it. I don't mind when it's a little tiny old lady and she's like, oh, that's your motorcycle?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so neat.
I don't know. Like, I feel like there's a lot of women doing this shit. I think the hard part, for me at least, and I've said this a lot on the podcast, so I apologize, but I just fear that I feel like some men, it's not a women versus men. I think a lot of people, I think the scariest thing is when people don't know how to react quick enough to situations. And, you know, men are the same way. Like, you know, they're driving down the road, they see the car, but they just assume that car is never going to pull out and they just get hit by the car, right? If the car pulls out, it's the first decision that always saves your life, not the third one, because you don't have the time to make 3 different decisions in your head. So I've always felt like some women are on it like that, just like some men are.
So honestly, out of everyone I've taught, because I teach MSF, so motorcycle safety, the basic class, my favorite students are young women. Young dudes are too busy trying to look cool and show off. Older women are a little more fearful. They just tend to be a little more safety
Tense.
conscious. They're a little more tense and nervous because they've been told they can't do this their whole
Yeah,
life.
it's in their head, yeah.
So it's in their head. So yeah, if you get a 60-year-old lady, she might really want to do it, but she's been told she can't her whole life. So she's a little more nervous. You get a 17-year-old girl. I had a girl coming up and going, how do I teach this class? Like, I want to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And which is awesome. And she kicked ass. Everything I told her, if I tell a dude, like, okay, you did this, and I need you to do it like this, he's all, I don't.
What do you mean I did it wrong?
Yeah. When I went to the 16, 17-year-old girl, I'm all, hey, here's what you did. You need to be doing it like this. She automatically did it perfect the next time.
Yeah.
She took all of that criticism and went, okay, here's how I do it. Did it right.
Yeah, I feel like
that had to be cool, you know, coming from a female instructor. Like, she probably, you know, she took
Felt
a
more
lot
confident.
Yeah.
Empowered to respond that way, yeah.
And then there's, different things too. I work with a lot of dudes who are in Army and Navy, and they're very like, here is how you do it. And they're very strict. And then I come over and I'm like, hey, like, why are you doing that? Like, what's making you, I don't understand. And they'll show me, and you can kind of reason with people differently. Because everybody learns differently. But by far, the young girls just take it and listen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's got to be, like I said, that's got to be a tough one for women that's grown up or, you know, been around forever. And it's like they want to do it, but then they feel pressured. That's my wife. She feels like she's always, when she's around all the bikes and all the biker women, like they're always like, when you gonna start riding? She's like, man, I don't really want to, you know? Because that's the other thing is that, I mean, I think that she took the class, she passed it, but she still didn't feel confident. I think I was telling you about this. She didn't feel confident going on the road. And we didn't, you know, I've never really bought another Sportster or something like that to have around in the shop that she could kind of ride. Like, she used to ride Jesse's around every once in a while, like around here. But, you know, at the same time, like, I don't know. It's a fearful thing for me too. Like, I don't want to be sitting at home and she's out ripping the bike and fucking wrecks.
12 o'clock, cross the intersections, freaking one
doing hood ride
drag.
shit.
I always tell girls, like, try it.
Yeah.
Take the class. If you really enjoy it and you really like it and you feel comfortable, by all means keep doing it. If it's not for you, that's totally fine. Whether it's same thing, whether it's a chick or whether it's an old man. I had an old man, back out, and he's like, I don't think this is for me.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable. That's totally fine. I'm so glad you gave it a try.
Well, we all know a couple dudes that just always wreck. Mm-hmm. And it's always like somebody pulled out in front. He's only wrecked a couple times. But there's some dudes that every year they have another bad wreck, and it's like, how is it? It can't always be the other. Yeah, it might technically on paper be that car's fault, but you could have avoided
something
it.
They're doing.
Yeah, like most accidents are avoidable except for the ones that are behind you, right? And I feel like so many people are like, it's across the board, like men, women, the same thing. But like I said, I think that the stigma, put it like this, there's more men riding bikes. So there's more men I know that don't need to be riding bikes. Mm-hmm. There's not as many women. I haven't met, most of the women I do know that ride are pretty fucking good at it. You know what I mean? It's not a whole lot of, like just overthinking and scared and,
I don't know a bunch of sketchy women riders. Most women I know that ride pretty well.
Not to sound like the crazy feminist, but there's a lot of things that women are better at naturally. Mm-hmm. So I started welding.
I was going to speak to that.
And it was one of the big things. Women are naturally better welders.
So when she was talking about the MSF class, that was one thing I was going to interject, and we went on a tangent, but I teach welding, and I've taught hundreds and hundreds of freaking people how to weld. Every time I have a welding class, the women do better than men.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10. It's crazy. And they're so good because they're situational, positional, freaking attentive to detail, all that kind of stuff. They do 10 times better than men every single time on the first, second, and third weld. And the pattern in which I teach them is the same that I teach the men, but the women pick it up 9 times out of 10 faster than the men.
And it's funny because, every dude that's a welder is like, doesn't want to admit it. And you'll go, no, women are better welders. I can speak. It's just the way women learn, I think.
Here's a question. How, like, I know a lot of women, just my wife and her friends, like a lot of women have a hard time finding hobbies. You know what I mean? And some of them have too many, right? So there's, not to generalize, but whether it is welding or taking up some of these things that are more male dominated, do you think that how do you get women to want to even try shit like that? You know what I mean? To like want to try welding, or like how do you know what I mean? Like how does that appeal to my wife who's looking for a hobby right now? Instagram?
Honestly.
For real?
I have a few friends who are welders. My friend April's a badass welder, and she's like 4 foot tall. Tiny little girl. She fits in all the tiny little spaces that the big dudes can't fit in to weld.
She's 4 foot tall. She's a midget.
She's not 4 foot tall, but she won't be mad at me for saying
you got to be
she's a
under
teeny
4
little
foot
girl.
tall if you're a midget. I'm just saying.
Yeah, she's a teeny
I
little
wish I had
girl.
midget friends.
You just got to see other people doing it. It's Instagram has been just incredible for showing you things that you wouldn't normally see.
Yeah.
So seeing women doing cool stuff Jessie welded. There's a few women out there who were really pushing all this, just different things that were, primarily dude stuff.
Well, even in the custom paint world, there's always been women that airbrush and things like that.
But there wasn't a ton.
There still isn't a ton. It's the thing about custom paint is it covers so much surface, right? So there's the bike world of custom paint, the automotive world of custom paint, the fine art world of custom paint. Then there's there's like so many different facets of areas that people do custom paint work, or just they work with airbrushes and things like that. And there's a lot of women out there that but here, this is where it gets funny, because like there's a couple chicks that are decent looking women who airbrush in like fucking not skimpy clothes, but definitely put it out there that way, and then they got 50, 60,000 followers.
Mediocre work.
Yeah, and it gets kind of weird. It's like, all right. But then again, it's like I feel like I'm hating because she has tits and I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that might
just...
You got moves.
Yeah, it's like And then I would just wear some pasties and airbrush.
You might just be jealous that they've got like B's or C's and you've got like a solid A.
You got a solid A. I mean, but the thing is, like, you gotta wear. I learned recently, you gotta wear shoes with like bald front feet areas to like so you can rock on those while you swing your hips, so that your tits can fucking swirl the tassels.
The tassels.
Yeah, you gotta have shoes that have like a little ball on the end of them, so like when you rock your feet,
it's just
you can just
rounded.
do the rock.
I can't wait to see you do this video to show us.
I bought you some Skechers downstairs. They got some little bald feet. I took a grinder to them, round them out for you.
I'll show them how to do it. I mean, there's some like Teresa who
Contreras.
who does.
She's a badass.
Real deal. She's an incredible painter.
She's a great painter.
And teaches people to do that. And then I've got two girls in the show, Stripe Cult Painting and Bombshell Deluxe.
So Stripe Cult, I follow her and Bombshell. The Stripe Cult chick, she has a style, like her own style. You know what I mean?
Everything's stripes.
Yeah, and it's dope because it's a type of art form that I don't know if it's like her art form, but because obviously it's like it was a famous kind of style of art that was kind of like a 80s, kind of like after the synthwave kind of style of art, I think. But no, her style, like the helmets that she does, even like her hands tattooed up and
you
shit
can
like
spot
that.
her style.
Yeah, it's dope. And then like Bombshell, she was one of the like early adopters of the panel paint jobs, which and you know her name and even her husband, they both are in the painting thing together. So it's like a cool they got a little family thing going on.
I love what they have. Yeah. It's so cute.
It's really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, she does like the Vans and all the shoes, and she has little stencils and. She's got her own flake too from Paint for Like Me.
Yeah, they're two of my girls, and they're both like incredible.
There's a lot of really good pinstripe art. Like pinstriping, it's like maybe the attention to detail and the hand-eye coordination is very good with women.
That's a symmetry thing too.
There's this chick, Hot Rod Jen. She goes by.
Jen's amazing.
She's a badass. Yeah.
I've got a couple of girls too. Kayla Inferno Art, and then Tina both do pinstriping on helmets, and they both did a helmet for me. They're incredible. Like I can paint. I painted my bike. I can do some solid colors. I can clear coat pretty decently. I cannot do what these girls do.
Yeah.
Like between the airbrushing and the pinstriping, they're just incredible.
Well, it's like anything. It's just it's repetition. The more you do the shit, the more everything starts to fit.
Shit ton of practice.
Yeah. That's the one thing.
Hours.
Yeah, dude, that's the one thing that I've adopted. Like, you hear that shit growing up. When you're in your 20s, you're like, oh, man, you just got to practice. You don't think about practice the way that, like, I see it now in my late 30s. Like, fuck, if I just do this for 1 hour every day, I'll be good in a month. Like, naturally, it'll happen. Everything will feel more fluid, at that point.
But everybody gets too frustrated. I've tried pinstriping. I suck at it. I've got Nicole, Chicken and a Biscuit, too.
Yeah.
And she does great stuff. I've tried pinstriping. That's hard.
It's my worst quality in painting. Like, I'm not the best pinstriper.
Oh, those look pretty decent.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, compared to someone like that does it every day, like I've just been pinstriping since 2004, but not daily. So I've accumulated hours doing it. But if I was to, like I said, if I tell myself all the time, I was like, dude, just do one pinstripe design every day on something, and I'll be able to do it in the back of my head after a month or two. But it's like the discipline. That's the other thing. You try to get the discipline down to get it going. That's like with photography for me, like that's the same thing. Like I focus on it so much every day. I'm either watching videos or shooting a picture or something. So I feel like I grow faster in it versus like the things that I don't touch much. Like I barely airbrush anymore compared to what I used to. And so eventually that skill, it gets harder to do that shit. You know what I'm saying?
I can't imagine because some of the airbrush stuff is just insane.
Yeah, it gets me paid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm solid on a solid color and I can clear coat real good. That's the extent of my talent with paint. When
the industry kind of changes from this style to this style, like what's popular, what people want, it's good to be a jack of all trades, be able to do every aspect of the paint job. But then it went from like in the 2000s where everybody wanted airbrushing done on something like skulls and dragons and crazy shit. And then it turned into everybody wanted silver leaf and gold leaf and pinstriping and hand lettering.
Then everybody wanted panel paint jobs with metal flake.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy too is you remember back in the whole chopper height, how many painters came out of North Texas?
Yeah, a lot.
From freaking American Iron Horse alone. Like some real quality painters.
There's a lot of painters. I mean, you know, like Ryan from Counts Customs, he's from Temple. You know, there's a lot of painters, a lot of people spread out throughout America that have done famous shit. They were all kind of
right here,
come from this area, off 35 somewhere.
Yeah,
you know. But no, it's you know, with paint, like eventually, like it's already kind of starting to evolve into a different style. It's becoming more of a race helmet world right now. And that's kind of the style that Harley's putting on their bikes. It's a little bit more, Harley's paint jobs, like that come on the CVOs, have more of a racy vibe than ever before. And that's kind of where a lot of things are going, which is a different style than panels, obviously. But we're just at the very beginning stages of that. I think in the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to see a lot less flake everywhere. More pearls and things like that is going to become the new norm in that world. Not so much the chopper world. Choppers are always going to be
finally going to be on trend. I just went with pearl because I can't flake.
Flake's easy. It's just thick.
That's a problem.
Just got to bury
Thick.
that shit.
I stuck with pearl because it was really
Chase
easy.
likes it thick.
Pearl's hard though. Pearl's harder to shoot. Like pearl's like, I always tell people, like, I'm good at painting what I paint, but if you ask me to go paint a car silver, I'd fuck it up. Like, I'm not used to painting long panels, and so I don't have the hand movement to to do.
Jace has been practicing short strokes since he was 14.
Yeah. 12, motherfucker.
All right.
That's when
12,
Xena Warrior
12.
Princess was on.
Xena. Oh
my God. So, well, when I painted my bike, I borrowed a paint booth from a local guy in Wisconsin, and he was, just car painter. And he set me all up, and he's like, okay, like, if you need help, let me know. I'm all, whatever, dude. Go in and paint. I come out, and he goes, oh, like, I didn't mean to be rude or anything and say, like, you didn't know what you're doing, but I didn't really think you knew what you were doing. And by the time I was done, he goes, if you want to come, like, help paint cars, I'll hire you on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about that, like, robotic motion. So I can't necessarily do these crazy airbrush things, but it's just getting that motion down of painting. And he was super surprised because he just thought, oh, this girl supposedly knows how to paint, whatever. So I'll
Where was
hire
it
you
that
to
you worked before?
help paint cars. Mana Studios. So I painted toys.
Toys? Okay.
Like collector toys. We had this crazy plastic, like, Breaking Bad character, and then we had a Mickey holding an Uzi, and there was a little guy and then a big guy, like a 5 foot tall one. So I learned how to paint. It was clear coating. Like, you learned how to clear coat.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's the thing that most painters, I think, have more trouble with.
Well, clear coat can be, it's so temperamental based on the temperature, the weather. I wouldn't say the weather. People say it. I think paint back in the day, it was more weather, but like temperature. Like, so I got some stuff down there. Usually most of the stuff that I clear comes out pretty much like I clear. And when you paint a car, you need orange peel in the car. You don't want glass because it shows every imperfection in the metal, every imperfection in the paint if it's glass. So orange peel helps hide natural imperfections that these robotic arms do, right?
That's why factory paint's got so much fucking orange peel on it.
Yeah.
Sucks.
And so when you do, like, say if you have a car built, a hot rod or something like that, then you're going for a glass look. That's when metal work becomes a bigger issue. Proper body work, things like that become a bigger issue. Well, me in custom paint, everything I do has to be glass. So I clear coat to the point where it's damn near glass, but that's when you're at glass, you're like a butt hair away from running. So you're always playing that line of too much clear and just the right amount of clear. So especially when it's cold, like when it gets here, when it gets below 40 in Texas, then that's when it gets harder to hold heat in the shop with the booth on. And so you get really, really good glass finishes, but you get runs.
The problem too here is that we have that kind of temperature with humidity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I had that with no humidity, and it was winter when I painted my bike, and I got one run. I was pretty proud of myself, but the dude looked at me and he goes, "If you want to paint cars, let me know." God, no.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that, but
Yeah, this chopper tank, so it's only got one hook from the top, and it's like a teardrop style. And so everything wants to go down, you know, when you're spraying it. And it's, and yeah, I hung some pretty nasty ones on there. But
the thing I learned about being a painter isn't not screwing up. It's being a talented painter is being able to fix your screw ups without anybody knowing.
For sure.
Yeah,
and I think that applies with any art.
Adapt to the screw up to make it turn out.
To me, my opinion, that's what separates anybody from the idea of being a professional, right? When to me, you're a professional at what you do when you're the solver of all problems within that profession, right? You know how to do it, and you know how to address the issues that come along to get the product where it needs to be at the end.
Absolutely.
That's what I was told. The guy I learned from, he goes, it's not screwing up, because everybody's going to screw up. Yeah. Everybody's going to fuck it up at some point.
There's
it's
so many
being
variables.
able to fix it and hide it and have nobody know that you screwed up.
Yeah. And that's the main thing. And that's what sucks too whenever you do see these real famous painters and you finally see their work in person, you're like, I would never be able to get away with that. Like, you know what I mean? And also, like, whenever my work started going through the mail and not being people dropping it off, you know, you wanted, when they pull the helmet out of the box or the tins out of the box, you want to go, fuck, this looks good. Not like, what's this spot right here? Like, hey, man, I love the tank, but there's this spot right here. I was like, I fucked this tank before I sent it. I knew it was there. Why didn't I fix it? You know what I mean? That's one thing that's always driven me crazy about, like, when you hire people to do the job, it's like, you know what it's supposed to look like. Does it look like that? Is this done? Well, yeah. What about this? Oh, I didn't notice it. How the fuck? You sanded right over it. How did you not notice that?
Yeah.
You know?
I'll never call myself a painter. I'll paint my own stuff and enjoy it, and I painted toys and small scale stuff, but you could stop and sand it and fix it. And I'll never call myself a painter because I don't want to paint other people's stuff.
And the other thing about custom paint is that we piggyback off the collision industry, which is a big money industry, and custom paint is not big money. You know what I mean? It might cost big money, like to the you know, the end user,
but it's nothing per capita.
It's nothing compared to what, like, an average body shop runs in you know, anything. And so, you know, every year those price increases go up, and you have to ask yourself, okay, why is this bagger $10,000 now versus, you know, 5 years ago when they were like 7 or 8 or 6 or whatever? It's like, man, fucking materials go up every year.
Shit's expensive.
At least 13 to 15% on everything goes up every year. After 10 years, that's over 100% more expensive than it was 10 years ago, you know? So it's like, I feel like that trend is going completely up, and at some point, it's going to be a point where it's going to cost $15,000 to get a bagger painted or $20,000 to get a bagger painted, because it's going to cost $8,000-9,000 for the materials to get done.
I mean, tape alone is expensive as hell nowadays.
Not to mention the talent and everything. It's the same thing as photography. It's well, how much do I have invested in all my tools and all my years learning how to do this? And just because I can do it in half an hour doesn't make it a half an hour worth of work.
That's my favorite statement. Somebody come in the shop and it's like, they need a bracket made, and they're like, how much? I'm like, $250. It was like 10 minutes worth of work. And they're like, man, but it didn't take you very long. I was like, yeah, that's a $35,000 plasma table and a $4,000 brake and freaking 20 years of experience.
That's the hard part with photography, though, is that because everybody has a phone and those pictures look decent that they get on their phone right here. But it's when you start blowing this shit up, or you start using in different types of places where you can see the difference between your phone photography and an actual photographer. You know what I mean?
It's hard to see that duct tape on that cell phone picture.
Yeah, you can't really see it that well.
No, I can see the thumb in the corner. Can't you see that? You just stuck his thumb over the right there.
But do you see the duct tape?
Yeah, that
on the axle.
Where is our duct tape?
The duct tape on the axle.
I don't have my glasses on. I can't do that.
So his nut fell off of his axle, and he duct taped the shit out of that thing so he could freaking ride it. How far?
We left Durango, and somewhere along the line I stopped, and it was in Mexican Hat. I stopped and I noticed it was gone, but then I looked back at my buddy had took some pictures. Mason, he was with us on that trip, and he had took pictures of us at a gas station that was 100 miles prior to that. And I noticed that it was gone there in the picture, but I didn't. So I rode it with nothing on it, just an axle, just with no nut on it for 100 miles. And then I found it out, duct taped it, and then rode. It was 30 miles from Mexican Hat to Monument Valley, and then it was another 30 miles to the next town, which was like Henrietta or something like that, to find a nut at Ace Hardware. And I rode with that same nut on that wheel for the rest of the.
And that you duct taped the deadhead side of the axle.
Yeah. So the other
To the other side had threads on it.
So what happened was the other side didn't have a nut, so I duct taped this side so it wouldn't come out that way.
Duct tape the shoulder side,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. Not like duct tape the old, hoping it would stay.
Jay's duct
It was
tapes the
weird.
threads. It won't pull out.
The one thing about photography, like when Michael was shooting my bike, I was like, please don't shoot this, and like don't shoot that, because your camera sees everything.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Oh, when I
Like you can't
shot,
publish that.
I shot the Dynot and we put it in Cycle Source. We did the shoot with Garrett. And
Yeah, that dude's. I heard a story about him. Like he's doing like photography for like music and shit now or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember he was walking around Giddy Up, getting a lot of badass shots of everybody down
He's
there.
real talented photographer.
Yeah, his
man.
style is dope.
He's got
Riker?
Garrett Stanley or
Stanley.
something.
Yeah. So I built my bike so fast, so quick. Had a couple people help me put it together, and the engine case to transmission bolts didn't get Loctite because they were just temporarily holding things together.
Yeah.
So in the photo shoot, on the exhaust side, you can look at the picture that I have blown up as big as you have that picture, and there are 2 bolts missing on the right-hand side that hold the engine to the transmission. Both of them are completely fucking gone in the photo. And I'm like, oh, shit. Can we Photoshop some bolts in that picture?
Yeah, that's Garrett Stanley's Instagram. He used a flash on a lot of that stuff, didn't he? When he would
Oh,
do
yeah.
those.
He does. He
Yeah.
does remote. So he's got someone walking around with a pole-mounted flash.
Yeah, that dude took my photo at Giddy Up too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Garrett's a good dude, man.
yeah. I like his style. I like your style, brother.
You got to say brother with multiple R's.
Oh yeah,
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
brother.
Sturgis brother 79.
79.
You couldn't do the 80th. You got to do the like odd year.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so pissed because I missed 2018 Sturgis. That would have been every year since 14 for me. And then 18 I missed because of it was the worst year of my life. It was a rough year. 2 car wrecks, IRS audit, lost a bike, got stolen in out of town.
Yeah. You had a car for like what, 2 weeks and got it wrecked?
No, I wrecked it on the way home from picking it up.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I had a bad year, dude. It was just rough. I'm still dealing with insurance things this year for those mistakes that I made in 2018, but it was a tough one, man. I don't know how. That was the same year we started the podcast, was 2018, so it's like trying to be uplifting on this podcast every time I turn it on, but my life's falling apart behind the scenes and shit. It's like, fuck.
That's been my year.
Yeah.
This year.
Pretty much.
Still trying to be as positive as I can for the worst year ever.
Pay no attention to the fire behind the curtain. Everything's fine. Yeah, it was a tough one.
Well, you got to be a little real because I feel like everybody's so fake on social media, and it's just this illusion of everyone having this wonderful life. I feel like you got to be at least a little real.
Yeah, for sure.
I try really hard for that.
What I like to do, and I don't know, this might sound corny, but naturally, I think we always take pictures and post the better times of our lives. So our social media pages are always going to be a timeline of more or less the good times, right? So it's like, what's cool is when you're looking at your own timeline, your own photos, you can look at this time in 2018. Man, I had a fucking blast at that camp out. It was also the first year of the Fast Life camp out. that was right in between a lot of fucked up things going on. So it's like, it gives you a different perspective of things. Like, man, you know, I had a lot of problems going on, but I still had a great year. You know what I mean? Everything, like, me and my daughter rode to California together, drove together. That was awesome. So I did so many rad things that year, but it's like you forget about them because of the things that took place that were bad. You know what I mean? But I mean, I don't know. It's like the perspective aspect of always trying to, I guess, not think of the glass half empty kind of situation. You know what I'm saying? So
what was the meme I saw today? It was like pessimist, optimist, 2020. It was glass half empty, glass half full. 2020 says, "Is that piss?"
Yeah, with the yellow liquid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to be a little real just because I feel like people appreciate it. I appreciate when I see somebody I follow and they're just like, hey, I just wrecked my car, or I just did this thing, or shit kind of sucked.
Do you know this chick that rode, I think she was out of Florida for a while, and she was doing a lot of influencer shit. And she had made a post, like a real honest post, like a couple years ago, just saying like, you know, all the hardships that it takes place to do that thing, or to be this kind of person online and shit. And man, I'm not really giving everybody a lot of context here to go off of. But
I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I feel like it's important to be a little bit real.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks, you know, some of us, people tell me all the time, they're like, your life is so cool, you travel all the time. I'm like, yeah, but you realize some of the times I'm showering at a Love's truck stop.
Yeah.
And I'm eating gas station food, and I'm making big sacrifices.
Roller grill.
Yeah, like sometimes you really got to make sacrifices, and I feel like it's appreciated by a lot of people when they realize it's not all glam.
Well, it's a fine line between you want to show the honesty, but you don't want to be.
You don't want to be a bum out.
Yeah, you don't want to be like everybody on Facebook, like putting all their business out there.
Debbie Downer
I mean?
shit. Yeah.
Like but then also I don't want to be the dude that's like saying all my drama, but then like, but I'm gonna overcome at the end of it, and it's like trying to be super inspirational. It's like I'm just gonna like not do it at all. I put a lot of my business out here on this podcast, and so I don't feel like I need to do it on my social media. You know what I mean?
I try to balance it.
Yeah.
Just between like, I had a really shitty year. Not gonna like try to hide that, but I don't want to be a bum out. But I also want to be real, because I feel like a lot of people had a shitty year, and they appreciate it when they see other people out there going like, oh,
still doing shit. Yeah.
They had a shitty year and they're still trying and they're still positive. So maybe I should be too.
Yeah.
I really get a lot of people that are like, fuck you, Moose. You're way too positive and too optimistic.
I've said
and
that.
I'm just like, I'm sorry. Everything is possible. I've been shit on so hard so many fucking times.
Yeah.
And things still tend to happen is because I'm just open to take it.
Every bad thing that's ever happened to me is put me in a better position. You know what I mean?
In some way or some form. I mean, shit. I mean, I worked with Misfit for 2013 to 2018 or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably if I were to say probably some of the best years of my life, because it opened a door to something that I wasn't familiar with originally, motorcycling. And it introduced me to who I feel is technically my family now.
Yeah.
Like, everybody I associate, do business with, for the most part, the majority of my life exists around motorcycling because of that opportunity that I was given. So, like, as traumatic and fucked up as that whole business was, and how much I ended up not getting anything I was promised out of it, I still ended up meeting all these cool people out of it.
Yeah, there's all the subsidiary things that you got out of the deal.
Yeah, no, I'm good with it.
So one thing about the motorcycle industry is I feel like everybody goes, you know what, like no matter how bad or how good it was, it's family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All my motorcycle people are family.
What I really think about though is like maybe not. I mean, this year for the motorcycle industry has like been record numbers for a lot of companies that I know of. Have
sales have been
surpassed,
through the fucking roof. Yeah. But I mean, people aren't traveling, people aren't going on vacations, they're not doing all that other shit, and it's like, where am I going to spend this money? Honey, can we put new greenery in front of the house? Can we redo our windows? Yeah, that's cool. Can I put fucking new wheels and tires on my chopper?
Yeah.
I did buy plants and motorcycle parts this year. I'm just saying. So I bought a lot of plants.
What I wonder though is the people that really got affected by this, does that make them want to completely change their life in a sense of going a different direction for income and things like that? You know what I mean?
It makes a lot of people appreciate working from home. It makes people appreciate a lot more things, like spending time at home with family. A lot of people had jobs where they worked 60 hours a week and didn't get time to spend with their family. So now they appreciate it a little bit more.
Or now they beat their kids.
Or they're divorced.
Yeah.
I don't have any kids. I don't have that problem.
Mine are grown.
Yeah, mine are getting there.
Yeah.
But no, so that's like what in my opinion, a lot of people are working from home that were cooped up in offices, but then that kind of turns into a new problem though. Like if you think of downtown Dallas, you think about how many companies sent people home to start working. That becomes there's a whole economy that operates because of people that work down there.
The commercial market is going to crash hard as fuck this year, man, and I already know. So that's part of the theory that I have with like me, with the freedom that I have starting in June. I mean, shit. Now I got a guy that wants to lease my space from me. I can move anytime, but without penalty on my lease. So like. Commercial market's going to crash so fucking hard. I might be able to like move in and buy commercial property. Like I had a guy that's got 10,000 square feet. I'm 5,000 square feet right now for $2,470. I know a guy that's got 10,000 square feet right now. That is
one of these.
Well, yeah, I drank too much beer, so now I got to take a break.
Yeah,
so I'll bring
saying.
you some beer.
Thank you.
But it's 10,000 square feet. And he wants.
She didn't think I was trying to get a sandwich or something.
No. No, but she did. She heard that. She heard that shit. She jokingly built her chopper in her kitchen and called it Kitchen Made, by the way. And she goes, "But isn't this is where I'm supposed to be?"
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, no. She like unplugged her fucking oven so she could weld in her kitchen. So like, she's dope as fuck.
Dope.
Yeah, she's like, I'm doing this shit in the house.
Yeah,
there's 220 in the kitchen. She's like, I don't have a heated garage. I'm welding in the fucking kitchen.
That's awesome.
But it's the thing is like, I'm looking at possibly buying commercial property this year because I had the opportunity like over the last 2 months building mobile COVID testing facilities of all fucking things.
Yeah.
You know me, I just like shit gets dropped in my lap. I build weird shit, but like it put me in a position to where I moved out of my apartment. I'm technically homeless right now. I'm fucking living at mom's house.
Hell yeah.
You know, my daughter's living in her own place. I'm making sure she's taken care of. Because I have no fucking clue what I want to do right now. Like I have a financial opportunity to just like explore what it is. Like I'm looking at downtown squares and small towns and shit. Like we just rode around the other day, went out to Salina and there was a commercial property available that I think is like retail shop / living space. I'm like fucking 5,000-6,000 square feet. I'm like buy the motherfucker, you know?
I want to do that
I'm
shit
down.
too.
But I mean, what I'm doing right now, I might only do for the next year because I think I want to like move out.
Appreciate it.
That'll be $650, sir.
Yeah.
That's delivery charge.
Oh, that's $7 plus tip.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of the thing that worries me about it is that like, the commercial like the buildings, right? That they're paying $15,000 for a floor a month in rent. You know what I mean?
Minimum. Yeah.
That's gonna disappear, and then all the restaurants that are down below that cater to the lunch crowd.
It hurts, dude. Rick's the same way. Like when the whole thing started to get shut down, my mom was talking to me about how she was doing something where it was like a gift card situation. Got a hold of Rick and told him what she was thinking. They end up selling a bunch of gift cards to their commercial businesses that would come in because Rick does a lot of commercial lunch crowd. People go over there to eat burgers and stuff like that. So now they've allowed these businesses to reestablish as restaurants over bars. So they had to refile their businesses and all kinds of shit in order to survive. But you're right, because a lot of those businesses rely on that lunch crowd. And I think there's something like, they were saying like 65% of freaking restaurants are going to be dead. Yeah. Dead.
That's tough. Yeah.
That's a lot of freaking commercial real estate. So I'm looking at it from the advantageous perspective that I'm a buyer now in a commercial market.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm going to look at a guy that's offering $3,400 for 10,000 square feet. And I said, give you a $3,000  2-year contract. And I said, fuck it, I'm looking to buy instead of rent. So,
see basically, when we built all this stuff here in the shop, I had a 5-year plan to stay in this shop, and continue to paint and things like that. But I was hoping that after 5 years, and then either the podcast will become something financially stable so that I can live off of it, and with the eventually we're gonna be rolling out our clothes and things like that, or t-shirts and shit. So the idea was like, man, well, what if in 5 years we can go get us a badass spot in like the Design District or Bishop Arts or Deep Ellum, and kind of have this studio / boutique, if you will.
Talking about like triple down on your freaking rent too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But if the market goes in a different direction, it might be the move. You know what I mean? So, hey, can you give me some beer too, just so I make it even?
Just keep bringing it.
You want to give you a couple tacos in the back row while I'm there?
No, but that's what I wonder. So how do you like? How long do you think you got in with your mom's place before you end up turning that?
I'm hoping I get it in my name in January, so I'm hoping to try to sell it. A lot of people are moving from California to Arizona, especially by the river. So, Arizona, I love the desert. I love visiting the desert.
Yeah.
I do not love living in the desert, especially after Wisconsin. I'm used to some humidity. I like open country, and I am not talented enough a dirt bike rider to ride in sand.
Oh, yes.
I've visited Johnson Valley with work, and I tried riding the dirt bike in the sand, and
you gotta have paddles on it or some shit.
No, you have to go fast in the sand.
You have to just go fast. You got to keep your weight over the rear end, and you got to not care what the rear end of that bike does. And I am too chicken shit to do that, so I biffed it real hard and ended up with a bruise the size of Texas when I landed on my bike.
Yeah, that's how it is like riding motocross.
Yeah.
You get into a certain spot, especially on like a takeoff. It's mud like
Yeah, and when
2 feet deep.
you just got to keep going.
Yeah,
And
you gotta-
I just am. I've taken flat track classes. My buddy Danny tried to teach me real well. I'm just too chicken shit. So
See, if I would have grew up on the dirt bike, then to me that uncontrollable
Yeah.
controlled feel.
yeah, when you
Would
don't feel
feel
like
different,
you're in control. Yeah. No, I'm terrified of that because I learned
When that
on
shit
this-
happens on a street bike, you're like, that ain't supposed to happen. You know what I mean?
That was my problem. Is I learned on the streets of Long Beach. So when that feeling happens, it's oh my god, you're
Yeah.
gonna die. So I don't like it. So I'm not really. I'm not a desert person.
Point the front wheel where you want it to go. Let the back end do whatever you want.
And I don't like
just
that
let it
feeling.
do its thing.
So I'm much more accustomed to, I'm okay, out in Midwest-ish where there's some dirt and some rocks and not so much the sand.
I don't know what I like. I think the thing about traveling everywhere in America is like everything seems to have some coolness to it. You know what I mean? Like there's like when I was in Milwaukee, I've said it a million times in this podcast, I fucking love the environment there, like
But you're
the
getting
working class environment feel.
I love the Rust Belt, as we call it, and the blue collar working class in Milwaukee is amazing until you hit the day that it's negative 27.
Yeah. I heard about that shit. Why?
I'm out.
Your eyeballs freeze, the inside of your nose freezes.
How the fuck did that part of the country get developed quicker than the South?
Well, because it was more affordable to freaking buy property up there because it was less viable. So let's produce cars.
Less
up here
Indians
because
up there
it costs
fighting
us
them
less. Yeah.
Yeah. So I adore Milwaukee up until it's that day that it's negative 27 and you're
Yeah.
going, like, it hurts to breathe. Why do I live here?
Yeah. There's a lot of that shit, man. A lot of these different places, like even, Nashville is another place that seems to be a hotbed for a lot of people that are moving out of California, and dope place. You know what I mean? It really is.
The areas surrounding Nashville are really
Like
nice.
Franklin, all those towns,
Yeah.
yeah, really
But
nice.
I mean, you get anywhere here all the way up to Nashville, you get tornadoes and stuff, and people like me from California I'm terrified of
I'm
tornadoes.
used to tornadoes, though.
But
I
it's
grew
like-
up with them.
It's like, yeah, we grew up with that
It's like a
threat
bad
here.
fart.
Yeah, it's like we grew up with that threat here, but it's like it's so rare that it only, like a tornado is very small, right? So when it goes through a place, they can get big, but they're never as big as a hurricane, obviously. So a hurricane will fuck up a whole state. A tornado makes like a beeline somewhere and it fucks up whatever it's touching,
A
basically.
tornado will fuck up a house on one side of the street and not touch it on the other
Exactly.
side of the
Well, I
street.
talked to a lady, and I think it was in Missouri, and she goes, well, why are you so scared of this tornado? That's terrifying. She's, where are you from? California. Y'all have earthquakes?
Earthquakes?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's just
Yeah, but
shakes
earthquake-
around. Like,
earthquakes,
stuff falls off your
everything.
shelf.
Well, like tornadoes, like to get hit
But it
by a
doesn't hit your
tornado.
house.
Right, but the numbers of get hit by a tornado, get bit by a shark, get struck by lightning, like those are all the same.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's bad
a tough
numbers.
one.
Earthquakes aren't scary. Just generally stuff falls off your shelf.
Yeah.
Unless it's real bad.
That's like me painting a tank. I'm like almost done. Then an earthquake happens and it falls. I'm like, fuck you, God. Thanks, man. What the hell was that?
Just
Learn to build a better stand, Jace.
It doesn't pick up your house and relocate it.
Yeah, it only happened in a movie.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
I'm kind of white trash. I'm kind of already tornado bait.
Tornado bait.
And I currently live in a house that has a tow hitch and taillights on it. So
Yeah. Well,
kind of asking for it.
you know what's weird is like we had I think the last big tornadoes we had was the ones on Christmas Eve that came through here a couple
You're
years
talking
ago.
about 2
16.
years ago?
It was 16.
No, we had a tornado rip right through the middle of downtown Dallas 2 years ago.
That's right. We did have that.
Right through the middle of downtown.
It wasn't. No, it was just north. Cause
Well, okay,
hit
it was
like
north. They hit
yeah.
Love Field area, stuff like that. My sister's house.
There was
I was looking at the path, and it ran right across their neighborhood.
there was like
dude.
video of a cop like looting a liquor store.
That's what I was telling her the other day.
Literally just telling me
he
about
was
that.
he was totally like they're like, we're on the scene, we're pulling up, shit's happening. You know, the investigative reporter, and they pull up and here's the police officer. Let's talk to him. And they pull up and he's walking out. He's got like 3 bottles of liquor in his hand, and he's just looking at him like, hey guys, what's up? And he's like, tink, 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 sets him down. Yeah, I was just trying to like help the business, and oh shit, I gotta go. And he turns around and leaves. It was on like Channel 4.
Only in Texas.
It was so bad.
Dude, I started following this page. Hold on, let me find it because I love it. It's awesome because it's all based on things that are taking place here in Dallas. Like it's like an urban news channel for me.
Oh, there's a few of those that like call out stuff in the cities.
Dallas, Texas TV, all one word, dude. Everything from the sports to like everybody like strip club shootouts, brawl last night at a strip club.
That's awesome.
Dude,
That's awesome.
It's just you follow this page, dude. It's the best.
There's a
dollar
there's a
bills
couple like
falling
that.
from freaking waistbands. And
There's
that
one
picture.
for Daytona too. That's just the weirdest news in Daytona.
Yeah, they'll talk like they'll put up like the arrest warrants, like everything. Like so, you know, we had like a
I
couple
do follow that page.
a couple of months ago, like all these Dallas rappers were getting shot.
Yeah, there were a
And
bunch
I
of
was following
shootouts
all
here.
that shit on there because one dude like wrecked a car, got out, and the other dude got out, had his pants sagging halfway down his legs with a mask on, and then follows this dude and shoots him in the back, and then it's like it's all on video. It's crazy, man.
Texas just gets more entertaining the longer
We're extra.
I've been here.
We just have everything. It's
Texas
like
is
a cultural
extra as
hotbed.
fuck.
You know what I mean? It really, and that's what California always was a mixture of all these cultures that made it so awesome there. And also the weather's awesome, and then you have cool shit to look at. But we just have like the culture here.
That might be why I like it here. Because I mean, I grew up in Long Beach, and I was in the minority in my high school.
Yeah, I mean,
Like-
I was too in mine. So
Yeah, by far, like Long Beach was a whole lot of gay culture, a lot of just all the races. It was not the white kids by far.
yeah,
So I like going to places like that because I've gone to places like Wisconsin where it's just
white bread.
yeah, it's all Norwegian there.
It is.
Yeah, and
Okay.
they like weird shit like lutefisk, which is like fish soaked in lye,
What is that?
like weird white people shit.
Lie
Norwegian
is
shit.
no thanks.
Lye can melt flesh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Why the fuck are they eating it?
I
softens
don't know.
the meat or some shit.
Yeah,
I don't
it
know.
makes like this weird gooey fish.
It's like a gelatin.
Yeah, it's like gel. It's gross.
It's like this weird gelatin.
Sounds like a
northern
delicacy or some shit.
So I really like coming to other areas that are like Long Beach that are just really diverse and just
Lots of taco trucks, basically.
yeah.
Oh, we're taco heavy, and like last
Yeah.
night, I was like, I'm cooking fajitas and making
Y'all went and
guacamole.
ate the tacos earlier, right? The lotes and stuff.
Yeah, we went
at the bike
we were
night?
with
Yeah.
you. Remember, fool?
Man, I was fucking drinking.
You were
Do you
drunk.
not remember that?
You took
do
us to the
remember it.
taco place.
Yeah, I remember
Drunk
it,
ass.
but the problem was,
What was the guy's name who didn't know? He didn't know what elotes were, and I
Oh,
got him
It's Steve, right?
no. This was bike night. It was
It was
what's the airplane pilot's name? I forgot.
Tucker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sweet little guy, yeah, I had never had elotes, and he looked at me. He's like,
It's like
I
you
don't know
never
what those
had
are.
street corn, fool?
Yeah.
The
Tucker,
fuck's wrong with you?
Tucker flies for
in
like
Texas?
he's like the pilot for like Frontier or one of the one of the airline places, but it's based out of Chicago, so he has to fly to Chicago to start his day at work.
Oh,
Wow.
he'd never had elotes. So
He never had elotes, yeah.
I told him about it, and he's all, well, I do like corn. Try it.
He said he
Man.
didn't like mayonnaise.
No, yeah, he didn't. I was like, do you like mayo? Because that's kind of a thing.
Should have told me. I mean, I don't like mayonnaise, but when it's all
Loves
mixed up in the
elote.
corn, I
Yeah,
eat the shit out of it.
But
The best part is
tried
like
it and liked it.
is the dumps that you take after you eat a bunch of corn. The absolute best. You feel so like enema clean. You know what I mean?
That corn scrubs your fucking
Dude, it's
insides.
like I always describe
It's
it
abrasive as shit. It's just like shoveling all the rest of the solid
It's like if
material
you move
out.
around, it's like the corn bounces off the walls and knocks all the
Because
dust
it
off.
doesn't dissolve, it doesn't break down. It's just like it's like eating rocks and letting it scoop the rest of your shit out.
Oh yeah, dude, it's the best.
Stop talking about food.
It's the equivalent of eating
like
like
the next-
pea, it's like the equivalent of eating pea gravel and letting it process your insides.
I always like trip out, like, dude.
I didn't know that corn was red.
For me, it's always weird because I'm like, dude, when did I eat corn? You're like, you think about your life and shit. Like, oh yeah, yesterday at lunch.
Oh,
that
shit.
was a good corn. I'm gonna eat some more sometime.
I made
Now that I'm laughing so hard, I'm crying. Thanks.
I made guac and fajitas last night, and we popped in over at the house this afternoon. I'm sitting there eating hummus and shit, and she looks at me and she goes, "Is there any guacamole left?" I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah, here you go." I champion some guac.
I just started eating guacamole like 2 years ago. So I've been a picky kid, like picky eater my entire life. And
Dicks only.
pretty much with at least some hot sauce, A1 sauce on the dick. Makes it the
A1
best.
sauce on the dicks. I thought you were more like a Cholula guy.
I am a Cholula guy.
But I
Big
mean,
time.
if it's well done,
Well done, dick.
it's A1
Yeah.
sauce.
So I didn't, there's a lot of things like guacamole, I've said it before, sour cream. I never ate that shit either. But now that I'm starting to eat it in meals now, I'm like, fuck, this is good. Like, I get to re-find the joy of food again.
Jace has almost learned what it's like to eat a medium rare steak.
Dude, dude, have you seen my steaks, bro? My steaks
are
go
you
hard,
medium?
dude.
Are you medium raring some steak? Because I did for my mom the other day. We did some prime rib like a motherfucker for Christmas Eve, and I mean we prime ribbed it the fuck up.
See, that was the bonus from moving from California to Wisconsin is I got to like raise my own steaks. So I knew what was in
What'd you call your cows?
My steaks go hard,
Oh, look
bro.
at your rare steaks. Look at your medium rare.
my steaks when they were still cows were named burger,
Shit.
steak, jerky. Jerky didn't last so long, so then we replaced him with meatloaf.
And then we had 2 cows at mom's house, and we named them Fajita and Margarita because we like to eat our meat and we like to drink.
Y'all are evil.
Ours were, we had black Angus, and we named them Fajita and Margarita.
I just, the whole steak thing was funny because everybody I'll eat a fucking well done steak. I don't give a shit because I'm literally using the steak to dip it in A1 sauce. I just want A1 sauce. I need something to carry the A1 sauce to my fucking mouth.
Jay just does a shooter at A1 sauce and then
Yeah.
sticks meat in his mouth.
The meat helps it like balance the flavor
This
of the
is like
A1 out.
Midwest people with scooping anything in ranch.
I see. Everybody I know is a ranch fiend. I'm not really. I eat ranch. It's good, but if I got chicken strips, I'd much rather put them in hot sauce than ranch. Personally,
Basically just buffalo wings.
yeah. But I like to dip it. I like the act of. I want to make my
So you
own.
get the dry wings and you
When I
the
Is the
giggles
action-
going on
is
over
the
in
action
this area are
It's
just
the action
incredible.
of dipping it in the sauce
Yeah.
that makes the chicken more appealing.
dude, you ever go to Chili's? They got that honey chipotle chicken crispers, whatever the fuck they're
yeah,
called.
yeah.
I'm gonna get it dry and give me the sauce on the side.
Because Jace just wants to dip.
Dude, if you dip it, you get all the flavor every dip. If you just
fair.
have it,
Hey, if you put your hand upon my hip, do you dip when I dip? We dip.
I did work at Chili's when I was like 17.
Hell
so
yeah.
yeah, I understand that. I also dumped an entire tray of ribs on a lady wearing all white. Don't ever wear white.
She's also a mini trucker from back in the day. Don't let her fool you.
You're a mini trucker?
Bagged S10, shaved out, air ride.
How many famous stars and straps tattoos do you have?
None.
None, but my
She
high
was-
school boyfriend sure did.
Yeah, she wasn't that.
She had the family across the chest with the F. It's
Oh,
like,
She
yeah.
was never that one.
My high school boyfriend thought he was a fake Travis Barker.
dude, everybody did, man.
I never got the F though. Nope.
That was a wild time. Like that, before famous stars and straps, who the fuck gave a shit about t-shirts? Like, no, we just wore whatever t-shirt. It was never like
that was really a real early beginning of like mass brand.
Yeah.
t-shirt culture.
But it wasn't. It was like not Nike, not Reebok, not Sports Entity. Okay, because
Yeah.
Sports Entity
That's
branding
what
at
was
the
the
time
90s.
was heavy as hell in the 90s. When Famous hit, it was like there's this thing,
Yeah.
and everybody just landed on it
Well, I don't
hard.
know if you guys had Tilly's out here because we had.
Well, we have like
Tilly's.
one Tilly's, but my wife was a huge Tilly's fan, which is a good store. It's pretty dope. We had Zoomies, and back in the day, we had Fast Forward was a skate shop we had.
Yep,
They got bought out by Zoomies, I think.
it did.
Yeah, we had Tilly's, and that was the shit in Tilly's. Was you got famous stars and straps.
So we had, what was it, Pac Sun too?
Yeah, we had PacSun.
So you would go there, they'd have famous stars and straps. And then like all the skateboard brands. So that's exactly what it was. So when I was younger, like in 97, 98, 99, it was like you wore the sports brands or you got into like the skateboard stuff and you started having like, I guess some etnies. Yeah.
Still has the puffy tongue.
This is
etnies.
all I wear.
Yeah.
I buy like 4 or 5 pairs of these at a time, and
I
they
didn't
go
know
from
they still made
regular
those.
shoes to work shoes, because that's all. And like, I don't like to tie my shit, so like it's just ready to put my foot
See,
right in.
when I skated when I was younger, I was a big Eric Costin fan, and he always was a big basketball fan.
Yep.
And so, as a kid that played basketball and wore Jordans, he was a big fan of basketball, and a lot of his skate shoes had a little bit of basketball flavor to it. So, I wore S shoes all the time. That was my
I had
shit.
those Eric Costin S's.
They were so-
and
I had like
couldn't
3
skate
pairs
for
of them.
shit.
I love those. I'd wear them today if I can get my hands on them.
Yeah, I used to wear Audios or Fallen.
Fallen was good. I wore Fallen for a long time until they quit making my size.
Now that I think about it, I think the skateboard brands and probably were kind of the first ones to start doing that T-shirt brand
That
kind
was
of
a big thing.
thing. And then when Travis Barker did it, I think it was kind of like the first time that it was something that wasn't related to any specific
It wasn't necessarily
team or
motocross.
brand. Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily music.
I felt like it
wasn't
was just
necessarily
culture.
Sports. It was culture because it was culture and it was branding heavy.
Yeah.
Started with that, and then I worked for a bunch of brands. I worked for like Lucky 13, that was the Rockabilly Hot Rod one, and that's kind of where it went from there.
So it was a slippery slope though, right? Because you went from Famous Stars and Straps and then Skin Industries. Remember that one
I
came
remember
out?
Skin.
I remember
And
Skin.
then it turned into Affliction. And we all know how that ended.
Yes.
Oh, I worked for Solon for a while.
Solon was
Yep.
Solon, there's another tangent here because what happened was, and this was funny, or this was
Anytime anybody says what happened was, there knows there's a shit
what
show of
happened
a
was-
conversation about to roll downhill.
no, well,
With all due respect.
there was a lot of things that transitioned in the mid 2000s, right? The tattoo culture went from being very
It went from-
traditional kind of heavy outline to this realism through Nico Hurtado and some other people like him. And then it created this whole like artist culture again. Like art in general became like popular. Like art's always been around, but it
Well, just like Jesse Smith and all those guys taking the Art Nouveau style and the new world style of tattoo art, it became this new attentive art style. It became we went from flash art in the 90s, it went to like art is art again. Let me
Yeah.
put it on your skin. And it was a big fucking deal.
So you have these like tattoo artists and you have all these other things. Then you have these T-shirt brands that are buying this art to put them on, which it helped create more artists, right? And so we had this boom of all these different painters and digital artists. Guys like Cartoon was doing things where he went from doing airbrushing and things like that to doing digital art. Same thing with OG Abel and then Tribal. All these brands started popping up with art-based things. I forgot about Solon. Solon was one of those ones that was really putting a lot of
Solon was
artists on there.
huge, man. They
They
were
were
they
one of the
were
big ones.
big
Yeah.
artists, collaborative.
I think when Solon finally came out, I was past the T-shirt thing with those kind of brands. But I mean, if you think about it, it's the same thing Dixon did, but Dixon did it with flannels instead of the t-shirt. The t-shirts are there if you want them, but you know, he's like, let me skip the t-shirt thing and go right to a different part of the culture that, you know, people were obviously still have always worn flannels, but
I'm a 90s kid.
you know, I never really wore them, man. Growing up.
I was wearing flannels in the late 80s and got made fun of, and then freaking grunge hit and everybody was like, me too, and I was like, man, y'all picked on me for the last fucking 8 years, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
That is crazy to think about because, yeah, you had incredible artists like Nico Hurtado, and then you had the older guys like Rick Walters. Fuck, I got tattooed by Rick. Most painful tattoo I have. That old man just takes your arm and slams it down and drags it.
Yeah.
I love it. Loved him though.
So it's funny how like the it's not funny, but it's crazy how those things kind of transition and kind of you don't notice it while it's happening, but then you step back, you know, 10 years later and you go, oh shit, like tattoo culture changed. You know, maybe it was the TV shows that kind of brought it out there
A little bit.
and it made it to where people that are really artistic or artists in general found I can do that. That doesn't look like this seedy backdoor hard to get into industry now. I can go do this tattoo stuff and bring art into it, which honestly was never into it.
Catch 22 to all that though is like earning your right to be in the industry.
It's always going to be that. You know,
and that's a big deal. It's like people walking in. I just bought a freaking 5D Mark III. I think I can go shoot my friend's motorcycles this week.
But it's the same thing with motorcycles as people are now going like, oh, so it's not the big crazy $80,000 thing it was in the early 90s. It's people going like, oh, I can do this and I can do it cheap and I can beat somebody. So you get these phases where stuff's on TV for a little while and it's huge and it's big. And then a little while after that, you get people phasing into it who made, like, you know, you might have grown up with the tattoo TV shows in the early, what was that, 2000s?
It was like mid-2000s.
Mid-2000s?
Yeah.
So now you're getting a lot more people into tattooing, and it's the same thing with motorcycles, is people are going like, oh, I remember watching that when I was a kid and thinking, I really wanted a motorcycle, I really wanted to do that.
Shit.
And you're getting them phasing into it now.
Well, 100%. Like, I mean, when I first started doing fabrication and work and shit like that was like 96, 97. You know, that's when I first started like tinkering with working on my own shit. And then moving into the whole.
I lost my virginity in 97.
Oh, okay.
How old were you?
15.
Oh, shit. Oh, I forgot you were born in 82. I was born in 77.
Yeah.
I'm
a first-year millennial. Proud of it.
I lost mine when I was 14.
I'm like a mid-millennial. I'm in an 86.
Yeah.
But
What are you over there?
Millennial. I'm 27.
Oh, you're just a
a
baby.
baby. But, you know, it's the thing is like I grew up like really appreciating custom cars, hot rods, low riders, all that shit. And I was like, man, it'd be really cool to like have that badass shop and like have all those cool tools and be able to do all that stuff. Like, how do I do that? And so I like started to explore the minimalism part of it. Like, I need to fix my CV axle. I need to fix my horn and like do the mechanical side of things.
Yeah.
And so I entered all that being a mechanic, and then moving from mechanic to custom, and it's always been heavy in suspension.
Yeah.
Always. And loved hot rods and customs, and thought how cool it'd be to like be in a magazine, like maybe be on TV and all that shit. And then like fucking 15 years later, it's like I've done all the TV shows, I've been in all the magazines, I've done all that shit. Now I'm that person for somebody else, so I have a responsibility, I feel,
pay it forward
to like really be open to the younger crowd and people who come to me and are like, hey, I'm thirsty for knowledge, or I'm excited, or I'm enthusiastic and all that stuff. Like, I want to feed them the same way I was fed when I was younger, because now it's Instagram, it's Facebook, it's whatever the fuck it is. It's Instagram, it's not Facebook. Fuck Facebook. But it's all the stuff that we do to like feed our culture and our media and be at these events, that when there's people that come up to me and they say certain things or like they ask questions, I'm very attentive to it, because I want those people to like pick up the pace and come in behind us to carry the culture, because without that, like, we have no future. I think it's very important.
There's a lot of things that are really, it's really difficult, because like I look at my progression to get where I'm at, you know, like with the painting and stuff like that, and it's this very long process, you know, but people online, they just start following me. They think it was like that. Or I mean, by the time Instagram came out, I had already been in painting for almost 9 years at that point. So it's like, you know, I had 9 years of learning how to do all my fuck ups. And some of these kids are starting out right now, 2 years ago, a year ago, today, to learn how to do this stuff. And it could probably be very intimidating to see myself where I'm at and where they're at starting. You know what I mean? There's same thing with like a Jeremy from Lucky Strike who's been doing it for a long time. And there's just a lot of skill that's been going on for a long time. And then you get social media that kind of is a great place for someone like me to like show the world what I know how to do. It's almost like Instagram came out at the perfect time for my career. You know what I mean?
But it is like intimidating to see like what some of the incredible established artists have done, and you're going, wow, it's so easy for them.
So this is another thing that's real different between like the back in the day and now. So back in the day when you would hear about these painters on TV, you automatically knew they were in this class of cost and financial whatever.
Because they were on TV.
They were on TV, and they choppers, dudes were getting 10 to 20 grand to paint choppers back in the day, right? Well, now everybody's accessible. I couldn't just call Matt Hotchup back in the day and be like, yo, man, like, you know, I want to start painting. How does your painter start? Like, what do you do? And now there's this instant access. So they kind of, and there's nobody putting us on a pedestal, right? There's no like TV show that's saying the Fast Life Garage is the fucking paint shop, or the, you know, Silent G at Valley Customs or Schultz or anybody. There's nobody but ourselves to put us up in the air. You know what I'm saying? So it's a weird place where like now your buddy in, you know, Iowa or some shit calls me to get his bike painted, and I tell him what it charges, and then your other buddy that's just starting out, you know, it's like there's I'm trying to figure out how to word it.
There's a weird dichotomy there because it's like, there's nobody putting you on this big pedestal of, oh, you're on this TV show. Yeah. Because I remember seeing like people I'm friends with now, like Bling
Think about
Cycles,
tattoo artists.
Dave, like they
You
used
know?
to be,
Same.
they were on West Coast Choppers, you know. When he was building stuff, they were building all that stuff, and you're like, oh, he's on TV, so of course he's going to be expensive.
And like all those people are our friends and like shit now. So we all have come this weird full circle where we become in tune with the community that we were looking up to.
The biggest difference between that and now is that there's nobody to put us out there.
No, and here's the thing too is like I don't have any room for kids nowadays to have excuses why they can't fucking achieve shit. Mm-hmm. Like I've done some public speaking with children.
Wait, say it again.
Public species. I did some public species. Public speaking with kids at high schools and stuff like that because, you know, I went to alternative school and stuff like that because I was kicked out of high school. Yeah. And it was like these kids are like, oh, I can't get a job and I can't freaking like nobody's gonna pay me. And I'm like, okay, look, I didn't tattoo my hands until I freaking worked for myself. I didn't have these big ears until I worked for myself, like all that kind of stuff. But it's like even as a convicted felon with all the shit that's going on physically, when you look at me, like nothing keeps me from making money. It's because I have the desire and the drive to do what I want to do. Mm-hmm. But there's like we did that pre-internet, and like not pre-internet, but like at the beginning of the internet.
Yeah, back
and like,
when you couldn't jerk off to internet.
Right, like it was like me, bah, 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 bah. Just like there's a nipple. I'm done. So, you know, it was one of those things where now kids have so much technology available to them and so much reach, even in like a fake appearance instance, that there's no fucking reason that if somebody is driven that they can't achieve some shit.
Well, and everybody's accessible because I can DM you and go like, hey, I had a problem trying to do this. How do you do that? Mm-hmm. And I've asked a couple of my painter friends, like, hey, I did real good on my paint job, but my gas started seeping around the filler neck.
You didn't have a vent in your gas cap?
Like, it screwed up my paint, so how do you fix that?
So this is where it gets weird for me, right? It's like, I don't mind helping anybody that has a question, but this is where it gets weird. After, there's so many, like you get so many followers, right? And so many of those followers have these kind of questions. And it gets to a point where like multiple times a day, you're having to answer the same question that is literally like you telling someone how to do what you do for a living. You know what I mean?
I've had that a lot where a lot of people, they're like, I want to do social media and I want to do photography. Like, how do I do what you do? And I'm going, It happened a lot when I did merch for bands on tour. And they're like, how do I get your job? I'm going, I'm not going to tell you how to get my job because you're going to take my job from me because you're younger and cuter.
And you'll do it cheaper than I will probably.
Yeah, but the same thing too, like when I worked for Misfit, there was something we were doing that nobody else was doing at the time, was building, like you could call me and I'd build you a lay frame 30 chassis or something like that. And like nobody was doing it. And Chris was like, oh, we don't need to be doing that because like telling everybody what we're doing because it's like some super secret. And it's like, how about we just put that shit in production and like sell it as a product?
But
he goes, well, we can't do that because then people will steal our knowledge. I was like, no, our knowledge can become the product.
At a certain point, like
Sounds like a t-shirt.
Have you seen Brushmasters?
Yeah. Mr. Oz puts on.
Yeah. So he was teaching classes.
Fucking badass.
And it was rad. I took the class, and it's not like I'm going to be a pinstriper after that. I tried it, and I learned that I can't do that, which is going to be a lot of people in that class. But it's
you
rad.
can do it. It's just that you have to continue to try past that learning phase.
You have to continue past the really frustrating want to throw the brush phase. And like Darren McKeag, he's always willing to teach you.
Yeah.
If you ask him, and I've asked him multiple things, like, I had problems with this, Darren, like, how do I do it? He will always stop and tell you how to do it.
Darren's one of the most peaceful freaking people. Well, since Missy, Darren's one of the most peaceful people that I've ever met.
But
so that's what I'm. Maybe I'm just an asshole because I get frustrated and I'm like, I don't want to stop my day of working and all this other shit I got going on to try to tell this kid how to do something that he's not even asking me a question that shows that he tried.
Well, no, you know, I've had this conversation before too. It's like, can you Google the fucking question you just asked me?
Yeah.
Because it's not about, did you ask, like, I'm not trying to give you, like, get trade secrets. Like, you're trying to ask me some basic shit.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so I'm using this clear and this temperature and this humidity.
But all those clears
it's like,
have tech sheets that come with them.
And you could just look your fucking shit up and figure it out. Right.
Everything.
Yeah.
You need to know.
No, and then people ask that question non-fucking stop. Like, how do I do the basic shit? If you're not even willing to learn, and I'm with you.
Fuck up.
If you're not willing to learn the basic shit to figure out how to do it, like people say, hey man, how do you fucking weld like that? That's fucking amazing. I'm like, I sit down and I weld
send them a picture
lot.
of a broom back and go, hey, come up to the shop. I got a job for you. I'll teach you how to do something after you finish.
But dudes don't even want to do that shit nowadays.
I absolutely think you need to put in your time, whether you're a tattoo apprentice and you got to sweep the shop, or you're a paint shop apprentice
still sweep.
and you got to sweep the shop.
Yes.
Whatever it is.
Oh, I do too. And people like look at me and I got the little broom, not the big broom.
Oh, you
I got
have
the
to use
little.
the
I
little
got the little broom, and
it's
I'm
the only
like
one that gets all the
detailed
dirt.
all the little areas. And I'm like sweep, and it's an interior freaking like soft surfaces freaking broom. So it's like supposed to be for like hardwoods and shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need that broom to sweep my whole fucking shop because I want it super clean.
But sometimes, like, it's super appreciated by people. I managed to pay my tank, and then my gas leaked out of that crappy cap and got under it, and I went, what did I do wrong in sealing it? And he goes, you should have used nail polish around the rim of that.
It's that, and then
It's that stupid little thing that would have taken 2 seconds for me to do that screwed up the paint on my entire tank.
It was a real common. They don't really have that problem anymore on a lot of bikes, like the way that the gas caps are designed on the newer Dynas and stuff.
She doesn't have
my chopper tank.
But so back in the day when we were doing all those flush mount gas caps and shit.
But she doesn't have a vented freaking neck.
Oh,
and so what we're going to do on hers is we're going to drill it, and I'm going to run a stem all the way through it and drill the bottom of her gas cap and put a vent in it.
But like, and when I asked a couple painter friends of mine, and I went, what did I do wrong? Like, I screwed it up. And they went, oh, well, did you seal it with nail polish? I'm all,
and that does make a difference.
What?
You know that.
Yeah, but so those are things, though, that you have to, like,
but I
don't get me wrong.
You need to put in your time.
You
gotta
have to
fuck
learn
some shit up.
The school of trial and error is the best school to ever learn from. Now, when you get the chance to work with somebody that has experience, you can progress so much faster if you apply yourself, right? But
it's the same thing in anything. That's why I worked with Michael Lichter, and I carried around all his gear for the whole rally.
Yeah, and make it worth my while, please.
And I had to, I had to stop and go like, Michael, I gotta take a pee break.
Yeah,
and make him hold his like.
Okay.
But you got to work for it. That's totally fair game to have to work for that knowledge.
Yeah, and a lot of kids.
Games to be sold, not told.
100%. And the thing is too, like a lot of what I do when I have people that ask me like how to fabricate, how to cut, weld, grind, all those kind of things, and how to like process materials, is like how do you get into what you're doing? It's like you just start doing it and you fuck up a whole bunch of shit.
You sacrifice everything in your life
you do
to do
you
shit like this. You know what I mean?
Spend a bunch of money.
I gave up. Like, I quit being a really high paid, valued electrician.
That's what he just did.
I mean, I was.
He wasn't high paid.
Yeah, I wasn't high paid.
Well, I was making freaking like $40 an hour, company truck, company credit card, per diem every day, cell phone paid, all kinds of shit, to like go do $30 an hour cash fuel injected motor swaps, because like off-road community, work on cars all day, cash, fuck yeah, I'm in.
Well,
no security. Like,
yeah,
I'm down.
This lifestyle, you know, it has its drawbacks. I mean, I don't know if you have health insurance. I don't.
I haven't.
No.
I've only had health insurance for like 2 years of the last freaking 20-something years of my life.
Yeah. So there are drawbacks that there's those comforts that we don't really get to have that the rest of the world does with their 9-to-5s and their, you know, jobs working for the man, basically. But the thing about working for yourself is that, you know, you realize that you willingly work 3 million times harder and put in 3 million times more hours than you ever would if you worked for not worked for somebody else, but just worked in an industry that you didn't really like have a passion for.
You love what you do. It's easy to freaking sacrifice shit.
People don't realize, they're like, oh, you get to go hang out at Sturgis. I'm like, cool, but I get up as a
It's
female
still a job, yeah.
at 6 a.m. so I can get up, look put together, because if I don't look put together, it's a problem.
Yeah.
I'm working by 7. I'm shooting all day until 2, 3 in the morning.
Yep.
And then I get a couple hours of sleep, and then I got to get up and be up by 7 so I can be in the showers at Buffalo Chip before anybody else.
Yeah.
And then I do the same thing. It's 14-hour days.
It's the same thing working for Misfit. Everybody's like, man, it's so badass. You guys got that big old semi. You got that huge fucking setup and all that shit. And I was like, yeah, that's cool.
Not to say it's not rad.
We like set up at 7
Well,
o'clock in the morning and fucking work till 2 o'clock in the morning every day.
No matter what.
Stand in a parking lot for 2 weeks in a row.
I think we can always find something to complain about within anything, but
Still cool as shit.
dude, every once in a while, like I'd be so over this. I'm like, man, where could I get a job? And then I think about the things that I have to have. Like I can't stand working for somebody where being here at 9 o'clock or 9:15, is that going to make or break our relationship? Mm-hmm. Seriously? Like I understand like if the door has to open, but in just say any, like what I do now, say I go work at an auto body shop, right? And it opens at 7, but I show up at 7:30 for whatever reason. And you're going to fire me for that shit? Like, I get more work. I'm going to get the job done. It's going to be done quick and fast, but I don't like that kind of micromanaging kind of things, which I know is probably, I picked the one thing that the whole world has to operate on, which is what time you're going to be at work.
Let's be real. Painters run on a different schedule than the rest of the world.
I just,
I love all of you, but you
well, and the thing is too,
you
is
run
like,
on a different schedule.
Sure, paint job.
I don't have employees. I work for myself, and I work by myself.
Yeah.
But what I've been doing, building those COVID testing fucking trailers for the last 2 months, I've got employees. I've had 6 full-time employees, and the thing is that I've had to let some of those go because they couldn't meet the fucking cut. But dude, I have 4 full-time fucking employees, and it's crazy as shit. But I tell you what, I got some badass motherfuckers that show up at like 5:45 in the morning. We start at 6. We work 6 to 6 every day, 6 days a week, and they're hardcore as fuck. So, and I have a hard time showing up to be there at 6 a.m. And
do you listen to Rogan's podcast much?
Yeah.
So you know Andrew Schultz, right?
Yep.
So he did a podcast with Andrew Schultz lately that I really, really enjoyed because he said a couple things about the team that he put together that they do their YouTube shit now, and they just produced that Netflix special they just came out with, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, you know what? My guys are all competent. They're all capable of figuring out how to do what we need to do to get the job done, right? He said, one of the dudes is just his homeboy, but he came in, he fucking figured out how to do Premiere Pro video stuff and started editing all the. He'd never done it before. He just indulged in it and figured it the fuck out, and now he's a vital part of that process of things getting done. Yep. And so it's like you find a way, like, man, if you could, you know, maybe the same thing like hiring him. It's like he doesn't know how to sand, paint. I mean, he knows how to sand, but he doesn't know how to paint, buff, and do all those things that are things that would really help me make money. But his level of competence of doing something and wanting to learn something shows me that he'll learn and pick up things way faster than somebody that's just like, you know what I mean? Like many other people, you know?
Right. And like my guys, I've got 2 full-time carpenters. I got 1 carpenter's helper. And then I've got somebody who's in the motorcycle industry that's my foreman.
Yeah.
And it's like, I pay my foreman heavy because he runs the show for me. I manage the parts, the input, the procedure that everything takes place, the quality control, etc. He knows my guidelines. And the thing is, like, it's fortunate to have people that can work for you to do that. But like, I'm not a worker for other people.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not a worker for other people. You worked for a company I worked for, and you were like, fuck this shit. I'm out. I ain't no basic ass bitch.
I quit in like a week.
Yeah, 2. So
Got 3 checks though.
Right.
I definitely cashed that 3rd check.
I know, right? But that's what it comes with the salary employee. But you know, it's like I do and I don't work well for other people. Like, I'm a team player. Like, I love to be part of something, but at the same time, I really like working for myself.
I can work for somebody as long as I respect them
It's
and
hard.
as long as they respect me.
Same.
Yeah.
And you know, that's why I fucking ditched out. I was like, fuck this place, I'm done.
Well, yeah, I mean, same thing. Because, you know, like I said, I came to work at Misfit, and the idea was that I was going to bring my business and run a paint shop. And then as soon as I get there, I'm fucking putting fenders in a box. You know what I mean? And it was like, oh, well, it's a team effort. It's a team effort. I'm like, all right. Day 3, putting fenders in a box. I'm like, all right, at this point, I have a $10,000 paint job sitting in my garage I was going to bring up here and give to you guys. But I haven't even got a chance to even do anything with the paint shop. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, this isn't, I'm not a bitch. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be here doing bitch work. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of people that work well for other people, and there's a lot of people that don't. Like, I don't work well for other people.
Yeah.
But when given the initiative, I can work with people.
Well, it's like this. Like, when you're a professional at anything you do, or any level of professionalism you want to say, it's about, you hired me for a reason. Let me do my job. I don't need a fucking micromanaging boss.
You don't need a babysitter.
Yeah, I was like, my job is to produce right here, not to answer to people, right? If you want to play this answer to people game, I get it. You know, you pay this dude, this talentless fuck over here, and he's just been here for a long time, but he has to control everything here. But I don't need that right now. I have a job to do. I don't need to ask permission from this faggot. Sorry, I was trying not to do the F word, but I don't need to ask permission from this nerd to do my job.
That fucking long. What are we, 2.5 hours in? And you fucking finally said some shit.
I mean, I've worked for people that didn't know the shit that I did.
Yeah.
And it was really frustrating because it's like, dude, this is basic knowledge. How do I know more than you?
Yeah.
When you're my boss.
That's a weird one. Or to play devil's advocate, the worst thing is like when you have a young person that is like has the knowledge and skills of like this industry, and he gets a job managing people that's been there for 30 years, and this dude's like younger than 30, but he's like, he just knows his shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a weird one.
Well, that's different.
I've been there.
I worked for a guy that didn't know you couldn't put an SNS ignition in a Sportster, and I was like, well, it doesn't fit. Well, it fit in mine. Well, you have to like seriously grind out the case for that to fit. So that's not a fitment. You can't say that.
Yeah.
So I struggle in just working for people that don't know my knowledge level. I don't feel like
I think probably for you too, as a woman, it's in this male-dominated industry, you constantly have to prove yourself.
Dudes get really frustrated when you correct them because they're like, no, but this is correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So my worst habit right now that I think that I have is this feeling of always having to point out what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have magazines anymore, or any kind of channels of marketing and media to like be like, oh, Moose right now is killing it. He's doing all this crazy stuff and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I feel like I have to be that person that's constantly
reminding the industry.
Reminding of what I'm fucking doing. And it feels so cocky, but it's like, if I don't do this or if I don't say something, it gets, it just washes away.
We have so few magazines left. I mean, there's what, 2 or 3 left?
Cycle
Source, and then we were just at the grocery store the other day. It was like Old School Rods was on the shelf, and
even with Cycle Source, right?
We lost like American Iron. We lost everything from Bonnier.
So with Cycle Source, like I reached out to
Chris and Heather.
Heather. I was looking at her name because, you know, I got the opportunity to shoot John Jessup's bike for that magazine, which was dope. And then I just shot one from Covington, but it was a Lowrider S. And I know it's not really their style of bike they put in the magazine, but it's like, man, you're the only magazine left. Like, why would you not start opening up to any kind of custom motorcycle that's V-twin based? You know what I mean? So I sent them the pictures. I hope they want to run it because I think it'd be good for their magazine. I don't know. Like,
well, when they originally wanted to, they shot my
Cycle Source.
Well, but they
Cycles.
shot my bike, or Garrett shot my bike, and then Chris was like, "We'd like to really have your bike in the magazine."
Yeah.
I love Chris, and I've done a lot of work with and for them across the United States. You know, on Grease and Gears Garage and all that stuff, and I was like, dude, I don't want to offend your readership. Like, my bike's not your crowd.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want it to piss on people. And then people go like, oh, fuck your magazine.
But they're one of the few left.
Yeah, and it's true. And I really appreciate and respect them for the fact that they've held on as long as they have and that they do it with such a small group themselves.
I think it's because they have a small group that they can hold on.
Yeah, it's true because they
Yeah.
have less expense,
They have
less
less
overhead.
bosses.
Yeah.
When
They
half
are.
the time they're traveling in the RV and they're working in the RV at Daytona,
Trying to
writing
get
the
it all
magazine.
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've done tech articles for them and stuff like that too. A handful of us have, and
I
love
still
to,
haven't
love
been
to
asked to be on
contribute.
their podcast. I'm not cool enough.
It's okay. Chris never puts me on the podcast either. I'm calling him out right now on that.
Did we all just call Cycle Source out?
Yeah.
That was probably my biggest thing this year was this is embarrassing, but it's like you kind of judge your importance to the rest of the world based on how many. Remember when everybody started doing Instagram lives? All these brands were wanting to do like, we're talking with Tucker Power Sports or blah blah blah, and I'm like, cool, someone's gonna ask me to be on theirs. No one ever did. I was like, fuck, I'm not popular at all.
My biggest thing is being in print. I mean,
Yeah.
I worked for S&S for 3 years and I did their entire internet, everything, their
Yeah.
existence. But if you go and you delete that Facebook, 3 years of my work is gone.
Yeah.
Compared to being in a magazine like Cycle Source, it's printed. I have it in my hands. I sent my mom copies of that.
Yeah.
So instead of just sending her a link to something I published on the internet, which is whatever, I got to send her a physical magazine, printed, and go like, I took this photo and I wrote all of these words, and it
Yeah.
was so cool.
So that's the one thing I would love to get better at is the writing part. Is I have it in my head, but I write like I type on a text message. I spell people with PPL, right?
Fortunately, Heather and Chris are really good at editing that.
Yeah. Be helpful.
That's what I do for the magazine I work for now, UTV Sports, which is not quite motorcycle, but yeah, we get some stuff in and I edit the hell out of that.
So this is my first ever bike shot.
I'm seeing you flipping through the magazine. I see that's a year-end magazine because I saw all of the
So
voting.
yeah, I got to shoot that in Sturgis of John
yeah.
Jessup.
No, I recognize Jessup's bike.
So it meant a lot to me. I mean, I didn't have nothing to do with the bike as far as building it or painting it or anything like that. I'm good friends with Jessup and my buddy Jason Hallman from Speed Metal Built. He writes for the magazine and stuff like that, and he was able to get me in there as a shooter.
I really like John's build with that bike too.
It was cool.
I've got a bike that's real similar era. So you saw that bike before it was ever started, right?
That's basically a Pro Street FXR based bike, right?
Oh, this is like the latest one, isn't it? Mm-hmm. December 20th to January. I don't know, Chris. I don't have anything in this magazine, so.
So there's a.
How do you find out who won who wins any of the?
It's all online.
They'll publish it soon.
So I've got
I'm in there.
a Tweevo.
Tweevo?
Do you know what Tweevo is?
Twin Cam Evo?
A
Yep.
Tweevo is the most desired S&S engine now.
For real?
So I've got one.
Half twin cam, half Evo.
So
Was it twin
it's,
cam bottom end?
Nope. It's a Evo bottom end, twin cam upper half.
So it fits in an Evo bike. You can put it in an FXR or anything Evo.
I've got a bike that supposedly was built by one of the original contributing editors to Easy Rider magazine. And it's a really close friend of mine in Central Texas that's offering it to me, and I want to buy it. It's really kind of like, it's yellow. It's gross. I don't love it. But at the same time, I'm like, I just want the engine.
So the only thing I will say about it, though, so we got nominated for this. I didn't like this. Let me just bitch a little bit real quick. So Artist of the
Chris
Year.
is gonna fucking hate us.
Well, I didn't like it. So Artist of the Year.
Chris loves some of us.
Yeah, he probably won't like me, but no. We did a podcast, me, you, and him in a van together.
You and I and he did it.
You and I and he. Me, you, and him. Whatever.
He, you, and I.
He, you, and I. So
Be fucking
Artist of the
correct.
Year. So it was basically painters, photographers,
Yeah.
artists. It got lumped into too many things. You know what I mean? So got that, but then on media releases of the year, or media of the year, or some shit. I don't know where it was, but he had it to where they were doing all the things for like different media, right? And so our podcast was on there, but it didn't get printed though. It was on the website. So I don't know if we got kicked out of that.
I see event, performance,
I'll have to admit though, as far as
media release of the year.
See, media release sounds like an actual something you put out, but the way it was
No,
said,
I think you're under artist of the year, right?
so the paint, me as a painter,
Jace.
but then our podcast was nominated for media, but it wasn't media release.
well, the thing is like what you're doing with the podcast, as far as like I would say HD market heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's probably one of the most responsive, attentive freaking groups of information that's being broadcast and being utilized.
We definitely talk about.
No, I mean but it is. It's like it's
We get to the bottom of where the T-shirt culture started.
It is a huge group of information, but it's like all the people in the group that you have on is all the people that I'm friends with. It's all the people that we are all in tune with as a community. I think it's really helpful to create insight for what we are as a culture. It plays in really well. I think it's very attentive.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's been very. It's cool that it works right now, right? Like it's cool that people, like, we built this studio and then we thought, fuck yeah, we're gonna get all these people here, and then COVID happened and it's like nobody could come here, right? So we were doing all these fucking video or like phone Skype podcasts and shit like that, and then it opened back up and we've been having people like I got the first guy ever to fly here, bought his own plane ticket and is flying here to do a podcast, just do a podcast and leave. Because I asked him to be on. I was like, we'll get to you sooner, but he's just like, nah, fuck it, I'm gonna come out there.
Who is this?
Alleyway Customs.
Okay, yeah.
Badass dude.
Yeah, no, they make some neat shit, man.
So I'm pretty stoked. I mean, I pick him up from the airport on Tuesday, and we're gonna have a day date, and then we're gonna do the podcast, and
Sweet.
How cute.
yeah, we're gonna have a good. He's a painter. He's a builder. He's a jack of all art.
Love the bikes. Come
Well,
out
it
of
is
that
really
shop.
nice to like get to know people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
Compared to, I mean, Instagram, you can kind of see what people are doing, but you don't actually get to hear them and listen. And
Man, but you could slide up in some fucking DMs. I'm just saying.
I stay sliding in guys' DMs.
I'm all about sliding in some DMs.
That's how I got my wife. I slid in her DMs.
did
I
you
know.
really?
Yes,
did
you
you?
did. I told you that.
Facebook or Instagram?
She was like, "Oh,
Instagram.
painters are so hot."
Yeah, right
And
after
he was like,
Don't encourage these boys to like try that.
dude, I did it right when DMs started, so that was different. Like,
"Jace was the OG DM slider."
yeah,
Let me just clarify, boys, that does not always work.
I think it only worked for me because back then it was the end of 2013, so they just made it to where you could use the you could send someone a message. Otherwise, it was just like, you know. And I found a meme that said it was this fat kid coming down a slide, and he's kind of like this.
You use the.
And so it said, "Hey babe, I've been feeling you for 52 weeks." Because remember how everything used to say weeks on it, like this post is 52 weeks or whatever. And so I got a laugh and a like, and I guess that you know,
Sealed the deal.
yeah, we had sex.
How often do you go home and she just slaps you just a
She
little
doesn't.
bit?
She doesn't
like not
listen
a
to
big
this.
slap, just a little. How dare you? Oh, she probably can't hear the podcast till later, right?
No, this is live.
Oh,
She doesn't
so
listen.
she listen or she
No,
just
she
give up
never
listening?
listens to it. No.
She's sick of his fucking voice anyway.
Yeah, she don't want to hear me talk all damn day. But no, it's I don't know. It's been great. I don't know what we were talking about.
We're talking about sliding in DMs.
How'd you guys meet? You slid in her DMs? Did it work?
I did slide into her DMs.
So don't, but don't now because you know you got a situation going on.
Guys, sliding into the DMs,
Guys,
It's over.
don't try that. Yeah.
it's over.
It seems
It's
like a
locked
better
down.
way. Like I obviously I haven't been on any since I haven't been in the dating pool since all these new contraptions have come out for dating. Like you know, like
you didn't
the
Tinder?
swipes and none of that shit. Because when I met my wife,
But I thought you were grinder heavy, like back in fucking like 2014.
man, you know, I really dipped my toe in it.
Do you dip your toe in it, or
yeah,
do
a
you
little bit.
I didn't know you were in the foot fetish room.
No, but like they had that Plenty of Fish whenever I was single last, you know. But
He got kicked out of World Market thinking Plenty of Fish was like a fucking spooge scene, but anyway,
there's this
fucking that department's never been the same.
it seems like those dating things would be so like it would be hard to actually find someone of like a real connection with somebody other than
So-
like a physical.
As a girl, and I know all of my females will speak to this, it's really difficult as a female because so what am I gonna do? Am I gonna just like meet a dude on a dating website and date him, but he doesn't ride a motorcycle? So what's gonna happen? Bye, honey. I'm going to Sturgis while he stays home.
Yeah,
That's kind of weird.
yeah.
And most of the girls, there's a few girls I know that date dudes that don't ride, but for the most part, it's a thing. Like you gotta date a dude who rides.
They don't
Yeah.
have boyfriends; they have girlfriends.
It's kind of a thing. You gotta
Well,
find a
that's
dude
a
who's
good
into the
point.
shit that you're into, and if you're a female who's into what's
How-
considered dude,
Let me
shit,
ask you this though. This is probably the one stigma that sucks though. Is that after you've dated one or two dudes in the motorcycle industry, then it becomes like a stigma or
You
something.
also have to be really careful about dating dudes in the motorcycle industry. Mm-hmm. So for a long time, I dated a dude who had a bike, had a KTM. He was a dirt bike dude, got it, like understood, and was okay with me going to rallies and shit. But if I was to date a dude who didn't ride, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, he's just gay.
What are you gonna do? Like, dude who stays home, like, okay, honey, go have fun at Sturgis
We're gonna watch the
rally."
football game on Sunday,
Yeah,
and you're out riding.
it doesn't really work because you become the female who wears the pants, and it just gets weird.
So that's what kind of also contradicts everything because you know it riding a bike is so masculine. I guess is the way you were saying.
Yeah, it's a dude, quote unquote, dude things.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying though, that it's just kind of, it's got to suck that like for a lot of women that do ride, they're obviously going to date dudes that probably fall in the riding category.
Generally.
And then they get labeled the biker whores, the chopper whores,
Moto.
the hoes. But it's like, but if you think about it in
we
hindsight,
go on.
where else would they really look for? Like, my wife was not in the motorcycle industry, and she wasn't.
She loved painters, though.
She did love painters. That's why it worked.
She was all into painters.
But I met my wife before my career kind of took off, though. So
So yeah, like the girls.
so
that
she
I know-
actually likes B quality painters. So what you're saying is she's not into you anymore.
Yeah. That's kind of our struggle is like, well, you don't want to date around in the industry. You don't want to like get some weird reputation or anything.
So you
but
probably
you also
gotta-
want to date somebody that aligns with the things that you do.
yeah, you probably also just have to be more mindful of what you're putting out there a lot. You can't be like this chick that's like head over heels, like change your Facebook status real quick and everything becomes like lovey-dovey photos of you and
Correct.
this dude, and then if it doesn't work out or it doesn't pan out, basically, then you don't want to have to.
Then you get this weird reputation.
Exactly.
No,
I have
and
to be
that's very
really-
attentive.
Yeah, I have to be really careful, and I've always been really careful of what I'm doing. You can't just date a random dude and post about it because you get this weird reputation. And
Yeah.
my whole thing has just been I want to be respected, for my work in the
Yeah.
motorcycle industry,
I think-
not who I'm dating.
I think one of the most important things is to understand that like where she stands now is that she has her own identity, her own brand, her own like motivation, her own momentum. So regardless of what she decides to do, she has her own identity. So she doesn't have to worry about that as much. But there's a lot of girls in the industry that unfortunately battle that shit.
Well, it's a mindful thing. You got to think about like how you put yourself out there, and that's something even I know men need to start thinking about is how you put yourself out there.
But it sucks because if not you, but dude goes out and sleeps with whoever at a rally or parties or whatever, it's not going to affect him. He hooks up with some rally bartender. He's just a dude being cool, and the girl does it. Well, she's automatically got a label now.
So the counter to that is chicks can also make a lot of money on OnlyFans and dudes can't. So you got to like take
That's
the
just because we're prettier than
I'm
you guys.
gonna have to fucking agree with you on that.
It's like, yeah, you got the shit on that stick.
I'm
but
pretty sure, like, I got some really big balls, man, but I can't
Women
like
are
swing them
never-
around on camera and fucking make a lot of money or
I got
anything.
a lot of ladies who make some money on OnlyFans.
I
and
could teabag a whole bunch of camera lenses, but it doesn't make me a lot of money.
I got a lot of lady friends who now make money on OnlyFans, but it's because they can't bartend at rallies.
Oh, that makes sense. The other funny thing is I was talking to my buddy Tim O'Keefe, and he does one of my favorite photographers.
Mm-hmm.
He does really. I liked him because he does very classy, yet not trashy, but like.
Oh no, classy but trashy.
It's like trashy is the word. It's the technical term.
Trashy is,
but it's not trashy.
I
like
don't want to say trashy.
Trashy's
though.
not mean though. So like when I say classy but trashy, like it's not mean, it's not derogatory, but it's like this risque ass fucking classy, slightly
I think it speaks to guys like us because it's always it has a moto vibe or a car vibe.
But it speaks to women too because I follow him and I love his stuff.
It's timeless too because he doesn't do high tattoo girl. He doesn't do tattoo girls. He doesn't want anything to have any kind of period.
It's not hustler shit. It's Playboy stuff. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the best way I can relate.
So it's pretty.
What he was telling
sexy.
me.
It's very classy, but it's not raunchy.
Yeah, like I don't want to jerk off to it.
Well,
You don't want to jerk off to it?
No, I mean like I would feel bad if I jerked off to it. Wait,
I feel like you still feel
Sorry,
like you
Tim.
still could.
Sorry, Tim.
it's not that kind of content. Like it's like
I feel like
yes,
you
that
still
turns me
could.
on,
It's very sexy.
but it's not like fucking right in your face flaunting shit.
not
Go bust a
raunchy.
quickie real quick.
Yeah, it's not raunchy. I love it.
Yeah, sexy versus raunchy is a
It's
big difference.
very sexy.
So-
it's not raunchy.
He and other photographers I've talked to, he's like, man, I thought about starting an OnlyFans, right? Because he owns all those photos.
Oh, he's got a ton of photos. I'm sure that he could OnlyFans the fuck out.
And I mean, like, that makes sense. And then the other thing was, I know photographers now are starting to get hit up by chicks that have an established OnlyFans to get quality photos for their OnlyFans.
Well, because a lot, like, as a female, you're just hit up to do the, like, raunchy, nasty shit. And what Tim does is this real great balance between it's real sexy,
Well, I think though
not gross. And
a lot of that is risque. So it's like it's the border between see all of me, see some of me. And the see some of me, I think, is like way more sexy than the freaking see all of me because you go like full puss nipple in my face. I'm just like, okay, cool. Yeah, I see your
Seen it.
package. But yeah, I mean,
No
I've been on
imagination
there on
necessary.
Pornhub. Right. Imagination is the
So I just
believer
imagine-
of all faith. Is like, you just give me a little bit of something. Like, give me half a fucking nipple and just
Dude.
like a little bit of lip. I'm just like, oh, I'm a
I'm
fucking
gonna
nut
give you
all
this-
over your fucking grandma's blanket.
You're gonna be getting muted. Just as as a female looking at this stuff, I can fully appreciate the like real classier, the Playboy version.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Like it makes us feel empowered. It makes us go like, oh, like I want to take photos like that.
Yeah, and I like the fact he's not like looking for a bunch of chicks with like the biggest tits in the world.
No,
it's like this. It's like the same thing because most of the Instagram models that have these millions of followers have huge asses, huge tits, and it's all them just basically like this.
It's all out.
Or it's this blur now, like it's just like a blur.
Whereas Tim makes a girl look at that and go like, I want to take photos like that. I want to feel that empowered.
He really makes them feel sexy and attractive. Yeah.
He makes
good.
He does a great job.
Yeah. I feel like I'm not the girl that wants to be nude on the internet at all.
Yeah.
There's very few. There's a couple photos of me in bikini, and that's about as far as I've gotten. I feel like I would shoot with Tim because it's empowering, as opposed to like demeaning.
I'm trying to see who'll shoot me that way. If you can make me sexy, dude.
Can we do a photo shoot?
Let's do it. Like, let's hit up Tim and be like,
dude,
Tim, can we do some?
Can you pay me like your
Can we do some dude war? I mean, can we do some dude war?
There's been dudes as pinup girls that
like I want to pin up with my belly out, hard as fuck,
dude,
figure four on the ground.
Hot, bro. Like,
but he does a good
how do
job
you make
with that.
my? How do you make my 30
Jack and
pounds?
fucking Titanic? Paint me like you're something.
Paint me like one of your French ladies. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love boudoir, so.
Oh,
but
I
Tim
would
does it very well.
I would so do boudoir with Tim.
Because it
We got to do a calendar this year, 2021 boudoir biker scene. Tim O'Keefe.
Don't steal my idea.
All fucking
Boudoir.
She wants to do a full.
I want to do like the dudes with the big bellies.
So like me, dump truck,
Moose.
Moose.
Gotta get big sexy.
He's
Hey.
got a
Big
belly.
like
Joe
that.
from SnapFab.
Yeah.
Bob.
Oh, Bobby.
Got to do Bobby Seeger.
Bobby Seeger's got to be a part of it because he's the king of being
He's the
naked on
king
the
of fucking
internet.
half naked on the internet or naked on the internet.
Oh, it's not dump truck. Walking around with his pants off all the time.
That's just Speedo wearing, dude. Come on.
So at my going away party from California, dump truck shows up, and I had a little buzz, and I went, let's make a pool party in my truck. And he goes, well, I didn't bring my Speedo. I had to make dump truck a Speedo out of bandanas.
That's gross.
That was an experience that
Those
I will
bandanas
never
went in the
unsee.
trash.
No, they got
Hopefully
hung in the
those
tree.
bandanas didn't turn into COVID masks.
They got hung in the tree in front of that house.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah,
A little bit.
It was an experience.
He wears a tuxedo everywhere he goes.
He's such a classy, trashy dude.
But that's an important one. Like as a female, seeing that like classy but like
Yeah.
sexy, risque, but not trashy, nasty shit.
That's for me with photography. That's one of the next steps I want to get into is kind of shooting
naked ladies.
Not, I don't want to shoot naked. I want to shoot like more model type things.
It's hard to shoot people.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Like you start thinking about lighting and all this different shit, and
Well, then you have
and-
to think about the angles of the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what Tim does, and it's kind of weird because Tim, when he's working with a model, it's probably a very big trust thing because the model trusts Tim. It's not like, she's probably maybe she's not nude in the photo, but there's definitely nudity going on set.
For sure.
And so as bad as I want to be there, not so much, I want to see how he talks with the model.
How he engages with
Because I don't, that's one thing I don't know. Like, I don't want to go shoot with the model and not know how to direct her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That is a huge thing with females and with all the girls I shoot. Even with myself, like if I'm working with a photographer, I expect you to tell me things.
Yeah. Tell me
not
what
in
you
a
want
rude
me to do.
way. If I'm doing this and I got a double chin, I want you to tell me like, pick your chin up.
Yeah. Up here.
Yeah,
Chin up.
because if
Chin up.
the second you look down, if the photographer's shooting below you, you got a double chin, and you now look like you got three chins.
Instead, you have to chin up and then look down.
So that's the one thing with a lot of female photographers, and I'm sure Tim is good at this too, is you got to be able to say things like, pick your chin up. Okay. Shoulders back.
Tim is such an artist. So like he studied true photography and people in photography. So he understands like shoulder positioning and how it creates shadows and different definition.
Whether you have your arm to the side or back behind
He's
you.
an artist.
Lose your,
he's
you
incredible
lose your
at
arm,
it.
yeah.
Not only that, what's really super crazy about what he does is when he puts all that together too. He's like playing music that has to do with the imagery that he's putting together, and then he puts out the music with the magazine. And it's like, here, listen to this playlist while you flip through these pages.
Yeah,
I have a lot of respect for that.
It's super cool because it like puts it into mood context for what he does.
I love it, man. And the power of a picture though is something that I've always known it, but I think the world kind of forgot how cool it is to have a real picture. Not like this feels good. Like when my grandfather passed, it was one of the things I started thinking. I was like, the last time me and him took a photo together was in the 90s.
Yeah.
It just even like if I could have had more of this would have been dope. Or even like all the times we go places, we're hanging out and partying, we never think to take a selfie of all of us doing something together. Like, and then you walk away with like not having any like real photographic memory of what's going on because everything becomes stories.
And they dissolve.
As a photographer, I'm always behind the camera.
Yeah, and
I have no photos of me anywhere. So I'm like, I was at this cool thing. And people are like, I didn't see any pictures of you there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was taking pictures of everyone. Fuck, I forgot to.
That was me at the camp out this year. So I spent the whole time walking around taking pictures of everybody. And partly because, like, I needed to practice. And I'll probably do it again this year. But secondly, because I wouldn't get fucked up by 3 p.m.
But then you always forget to get a photo of you. So, like, my buddy Mikey, who does Fuel Cleveland, he hired me and a couple other photographers. He's like, well, I'm running the show, so I don't get to get any photos. And also, I never have photos of me doing this. Yeah, totally understandable. So it feels weird for me as a photographer because I'm like, well, I have this big camera and I take selfies with people. Or I'll hand somebody my phone and be like, can you take a picture of me taking pictures? Because
to show people what you're doing.
Nobody will ever know that I was there.
Well, it's like when I bought that Canon and I had the 1635. That was my lens for the selfie thing for me because it wasn't the phone anymore. I would shoot on the camera, but I got to work. I mean, my arms are so fucking long.
Yeah.
With a 1635, I can sit here and
see the whole background.
I can shoot all of us with a 1635, like up close. But I did that in order to try to capture images because I really, really love photography, and I got into it for a minute. I just got long fucking arms. I was born this way.
I was born this way.
I was 6'7" coming out of the womb, but
You said you were like 8 pounds.
I was a big guy.
So.
Yeah. But I mean, I really enjoy photography. I really regret having a really shitty year and having to sell my camera.
Yeah.
At a certain point because I really, really enjoyed the photography part of what I was doing for a while.
Well, it's becoming a part of like every brand's responsibility to get involved in shooting that stuff or hiring people. And that's the one thing that, obviously the bigger companies like S&S and the companies you work for understand the importance of having more or less a professional person to run their social media or just their media in general. It doesn't have to be necessarily social, just media, which is this big umbrella that encompassing how the world views you, And even now, like I got plans of how I could turn photography into some kind of a business or like a financial profit, but it's still the selling point of like, you got to tell these guys that are used to taking pictures of their products with their phone that doesn't get as much traction that, all right, I'm going to set up a shoot. Fueling did it best. Have you noticed that Fueling's page?
Oh, I love Fueling's page. They did all the candy drip,
they took
cam chest, freaking all
really
that shit.
So that's the thing. It's like
they turned their product into art, which is really cool.
So they sell an internal product on a motor that's not visually appealing to look at.
The problem is they turned their product into art and then went art heavy instead of like splicing it into some common shit.
But here's the thing: you'll never see that product on a bike.
Yeah,
right.
Because inside the cam chest, you're never going to see it.
Yeah. Yep. I just felt like they went real art heavy instead of like mixing it up.
Well, all the damn YouTube photographers, the Peter McKinnons and all these dudes I watch, they do product photography and they bring those type of elements in there to make the product more appealing. And I get it. And that's what they obviously either hired somebody to do that or somebody there got
Somebody
forced to have
inside
a camera
was
like you did, and he watched the
is
same
great.
videos I saw.
Yeah.
But
And put
you
it
do
in.
have to find a way to market your products, and it's your responsibility, you know, as a brand. To if you want to be relevant, like I honestly think that in 10 years, if podcasting stays the way it is, every brand's gonna to have their own podcast, just like they have their own social media.
Sure. And you know, when at Misfit too, we had somebody that was doing media and product shots and all that stuff for us, and definitely a lot of money was spent on that. Well, one of the things that I had the biggest issue with was that I developed the product, so
Yeah.
I had a way that the product had to be looked at. So I knew how the product went on the bike or how it was represented. A customer would look at it and say, I realized this is that product based on the way I'm looking at it. And I would say, okay, we need to shoot this product like this. And I didn't want to do the white background, the blank slate, any of that catalog shot shit. I was like, I want to set it on the plasma table where it's like rough and it has like texture behind it and there's contrast and all that shit, trying to create some like art dynamic behind the picture. Or like I would do a burnt wood background, or like one of our tables. Remember we had those display tables with the burnt logos in them and all that shit, and they were all clear coated. Like I want to do product shots where they like have this textural difference. And there was some dynamic imagery with the product, and it's like, and it needs to be represented at this fucking angle, because when people look at it, they look at it and immediately recognize it and say, that's that product. And then I had the photographer that was like, you can't shoot a product like this. It needs to be shot at X, Y, Z. And I was like, fuck you. I hired you. Shoot the fucking picture.
So even paint, like a lot of painters been reaching out saying, man, like, kind of complimenting me on the photography stuff, but it's like, one of them I was like, think about it. Like, why would you not want to pick up photography, even if the slightest bit, just to nowadays we paint bikes that don't never really make it to bike shows, right? Or at least I paint bikes. They end up being on bikes that get ridden or whatever. It's probably not going to be at XYZ show in the year.
It's not going to Sturgis, Daytona. It's nothing. It's like,
so
people are paying money to have quality work done.
Exactly. Just people want a nice paint job. So the thing is, like, if I take photos of it, I'm showing the world my work at the best possible way, in the best light, basically. And so, I think every painter should be picking up a camera, or maybe they don't have time to learn this other thing. Maybe they should start hiring one of their buddies to come in and go, hey man, can you shoot this helmet I just wrapped up, or this bike I just wrapped up, and make this stuff look good, because I want the world to see the flake. John Jackson with Not Stock Photography.
I've been friends with John for fucking 20 years.
He's a mini truck dude, man.
Yep.
So it's like,
stuff is incredible. I absolutely think everybody should. And then everybody who gets sponsored products, just saying this, from any company, when you get a free product and you get $500 for the product, you need to hire a photographer.
Yeah.
To take pictures of that shit, to send back to that first company who gave you that product and go like, oh, look how cool this is.
Yeah, a lot of people that ask for sponsorships, they think that their follower count dictates them needing to have it, and they don't understand the concept of, like, when you become sponsored or you become a quote unquote brand ambassador, your job is to create content.
Yes.
So if you're not handy with the camera or trendy or fucking,
when you
whatever.
send me one blurry photo after I gave you $1,200 worth of products,
it's not very
now
beneficial.
get nothing else.
No.
Yeah.
Like, you need to hire a photographer and take badass photos, whether it's a paint job or engine products or whatever. Like, you need to reciprocate.
Yeah, it's like Matrix, Sherman-Williams, basically. They sponsored they gave me all the paint for my bike, and since Sturgis, I've given them pictures at the Grand Tetons, Sturgis, all over Colorado, the museum, Harley Museum, New York, just a couple of oceans, like all this badass shit, and then they send me a new calendar with a bike the bike I painted for Garley.
Yep.
I'm like, the fuck, man, like.
I know.
All this content I'm giving you, you don't even use it. It's like, that pisses me off more than anything. It's like when you are doing your job,
and
as
you're doing dynamic work. It's not just like static work where it's just like in the shop, blank wall, canvas, parking lot.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's in the wild.
Atmosphere. Yeah, 100%.
Because as a social media person, that's what I love, is when you send me a photo of the product I gave you and it's
In the
out.
wild.
Yeah, it's out at the Grand Canyon. It's wherever. That's what I want to see, and that's what people want to see is a lot of stuff being used.
What, like I said, one thing I do got to stop doing though that might also be hindering that, not so much with them, but so if I get a badass photo, I'm gonna post it on my shit first, right? But maybe
it's got to be exclusive, and
Exclusive
exclusive
content.
content's a big fucking deal, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
As a company, if I gave you $1,000 worth of product, I want you to send me that photo so I can post it, because a lot of people don't realize how social media works, and they rank things. So when it's the first time a photo is posted, it is always ranked higher. It will always show up first, as opposed to if it's been reposted 12 times, the 12th time is the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
So people don't realize that, and people don't realize how much like exclusive photos matter.
The shittiest part about what I've done for the last 10 years is that everything I have done has been so high fucking profile, I can't post any fucking pictures of it.
Yes, that's the
None
thing.
of it. And it's like, once it's done, it comes out and then somebody else already owns it. And I'm like, I have no exclusive rights to any of my
But you
own
can
shit.
take two badass photos and you can
Fucking
give one
sucks.
to like the company you're working for. If it's your sponsor and it's company A, you give them a badass photo. You take a second photo that's 10 degrees to the left and is pretty similar. It's still not going to show up as that same photo.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing we've been trying to do too, is with that shit. But I don't really post as much as I used to on my actual Fast Life Garage page. I'll go a week sometimes without doing any posts. I mainly just do stories every day and let that shit be that. But because I don't paint as much as I used to, you know what I mean? So I don't have as much fresh content to put out, and I don't want to flood the internet with my pictures of my bike all the time.
But you're not realizing social media prioritizes people who post every day.
Yep. That's why I get bumps. I start bumping up big time, around Sturgis when there's events and I'm posting daily. Yeah. I'm fucking that. It's crazy because you'll go through a thing where every post I say, so my average high end post engagement, or not even engagement, likes is $2,000-ish, right? 2,000 people like something. And every once in a while, I'll get in this, I'll fall into this algorithm or whatever, and everything I do is getting over 2,000 likes. It ain't even good shit. It's just everything I do is getting.
You're just hitting that algorithm.
Yeah. And then there's other times where it's I put out some really badass, some of my favorite helmets that I've done. I post them at the time of day. I do this, I do that. And I just it just wasn't, it was the right time of day for my engagement and when people look at my shit. But for some reason it didn't fall into their algorithm, and it fell flat on its face. And it sucks because some customers look at the helmets and they look how many likes they got on it, and it makes them like it more or less.
They get butthurt when it's theirs too.
When it's man, that helmet you did for me got 2,000 likes on your page, dude. Dude, it's so awesome, man. I haven't had anybody reach out to me and go oh man, that one only got 800 likes. But I feel some of the dudes are out there are probably like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sure.
So
I'm sure.
It's a tough one.
It's all just weird computer algorithms and what they want to show people, and whether the likes were in the first 10 minutes or if they were at half an hour.
Yeah. It's annoying. Okay. We're going to, with Saxon here now, we're going to start, the goal is to create more quick content, video based, and to start, I've been trying to do this fucking vlog thing for 2 years. I've already had to re-buy a new GoPro because the last GoPro got dated, and I bought that GoPro. 9. I'm on a 9 now, but I have a 7. I bought a 7 to start vlogging 2 years ago, and then it didn't happen, so I bought the 9 recently, and I've actually been using it more and making more videos and doing the vlog thing. But as rad as I think that my life is and what we do, I haven't figured out how to capture that and not feel fake. And that's I'm still struggling with that.
You said it before too. You have this uncomfortableness behind the camera.
It's getting better though.
Yeah, and I've seen that too. But some people are real fluid behind the camera, and some people aren't. I don't give any shits.
Yeah,
it's just run with it and go. But that's something I think that you've been working through for the last 2 years, is how to become more familiar behind the camera.
Well, when you have say a vlog, right? I want to do a vlog about Thursday at the Fast Life Garage, or it's bike night, or whatever the case may be. a whole day. It's like there's all this content here, but when you start trying to put a video together, it's not cut and dry like that.
Well, the
It's
second
also
you
very-
watch yourself, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And it's very inorganic, and that's
Yeah.
the problem. It's like you want it to be like this insight to something that's happening, and you want people to like dip in and out of conversation, like visually,
Yeah.
and feel like this is a fluid translation of what's going on. But unfortunately, it's like processed as fuck, and
Yeah,
it
it
makes
is.
everybody feel like this is really manipulating my ability to view the insight that you're trying to give me.
So what I've realized that I have to do, and it's not so much that I want to do this or don't want to, it's just that when we're on a podcast, I can ramble and ramble and ramble, and no.
Can you?
Yeah, I always do.
Fuck.
You can't talk, motherfucker.
Whatever. I got some of the longest podcasts on the fucking
history.
screen. I know.
So it's like when you do a YouTube video, you're trying to do a vlog, then you need to hit points. So it's almost like you need to not necessarily write a script, but you have to get you have to write down and physically say, all right, I'm going to walk in the shop.
It's called a
and I'm gonna say
storyboard.
this. A storyboard. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
So that way you can get the point across, get the shots, put together, hours worth of footage into 10 minutes and make it interesting and entertaining and informative and not a run-on sentence.
So I've done a lot of TV and video and stuff like that too. And so one of the things that I approach, like with the Slow Rider build and the 2020 Road King build that I'm doing for Daytona, both those builds I totally wrote out a storyboard for them, and I have a photographer, a videographer that's working with me on both of those. And I was like, these are the pickup points that I want to do on these. These are the days that we're going to do this. This is the process, how we're going to shoot this shit. You're going to run B-roll these whole days. We're going to pick it up, and this is what I want to extract from each one of those. So I get it. But my mind works that way. It's like I see how that needs to be communicated.
There's also, like, as the photographer, videographer, you have to shoot everything.
Yeah,
You never know when you're going to do something real stupid and it's
full
going to be
B-roll.
funny.
Like it's all got to be shot.
So you have to shoot all of it, and then you have to have an editor who is amazing.
Yeah.
Because
So that's
I
the
can
thing is-
shoot,
yeah.
I can't edit.
No, and the guy that I'm working with to do a bunch of my stuff, he does like video editing, freaking photo, video, all that shit.
That's my problem is I don't know how to let people do things for me.
It's hard to release it.
That computer is too, like I have that Wacom tablet there for photo editing and video stuff, and that whole setup is basically because it all started when I tried to have a website built a long time ago in the early days of websites. You remember those days where you had to find somebody that knew how to do it?
Were you on like GeoCities?
Not even that. Like,
Showing my age here.
Oh shit.
so basically back in the early days, like when websites first came out, it was kind of hard to get into them because everything was huge. It was the .com boom, right? But then around 04, 05, 06, people started, I can get my homeboy will make a website for me for $100. I'm like, hell yeah, $100, I'll do that. But then it happened where he made a website for me. I can't get a hold of this motherfucker. I need to put new photos up there. I need new content up there. It's like, I just have like basically a business card website is basically what it becomes. And then, of course, like things have got easier over the years, like Squarespace and WordPress and all these different things where you can make your own shit.
Yep.
And it's easier. But it's just that stuck with me that like I don't like relying on people to help me do things I need to do. So it's almost like I'd rather just learn how to do it myself and own it.
So one of the most important principles that I operate on every single fucking day, man, is buy what you can and make what you can't. And that's the thing. It's like there's an affordability level of that too. It's like not all of us have money to fucking do all the things that we want to do, but it's so fucking simple. Like honestly, within your budget, buy what you can and build what you can.
Yeah.
And that comes with fabricating. That comes with website building, all that other stuff. It's like I haven't been able to afford anybody to build my fucking website until recently. And I'm like, I really need this shit done.
Yeah.
Like I'm so behind having my own product on my own fucking website. Please God, build my website. So now I get to do that. But it's super important because you got to know your limits. So like if you were to say that I could build my own website, yeah, me too. What's it going to cost me? I don't know, 6-8 weeks of my fucking time. Cool. Can I pay somebody in 2 weeks to build my fucking website? And can I do other shit to make me money in the meantime? Yeah. So fuck it. I'm going to spend the money.
See,
And like, it'll hurt, but I'll spend the fucking money.
that's just, I guess my thing is as an artist though.
But know how to like,
Not that
work
you're
with somebody
not-
that lets
You're
you
being
manipulate it.
particular though,
Yeah, not that you're not an artist, but my thing is about it's the same reason why, like, I think that my social media has done well for me is because I really care about how the world views my brand and myself and what we do.
Well, you have a texture.
Yeah.
And so that's the same thing with me too. It's like texture is an appearance.
Yeah.
And so like I agree with you that you want to micromanage its texture.
Yeah.
And so that's the same thing with me, like building my website. Like I told the guys, like, okay, I'm in WordPress. I have this theme. I have this shit. It's social media based, appearance wise. I want people to gravitate towards it because attention is social media. They feel like they want to be there because it looks like social media, so they interact with it more. I need it to be this way. And so I had to find a website builder that was willing to work with me that way because I'm a control freak too when it comes to that shit. I need it to be a certain way to feel good about it. And it's hard for me to release that to somebody and say, like, you could do it, but like, I really need you to do it my fucking way.
That's the whole thing about the whole vlog world, right? It's not about hiring somebody to come do it. Because, I mean, you hire somebody to come do that shit, you're going to get definitely a better quality shoot, like of the build you're doing and stuff like that. Just like you vlogging, or not vlogging, but capturing an event, like you're going to get professional things. But
how is it for you seeing yourself?
That doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm obviously like I have my flaws visually, you know what I mean? But it's just like, I got to get past that, you know, just like everybody does when they look at themselves in the mirror, you know? Like I
have a really hard time looking at myself on video.
I mean, I don't necessarily like being in front of a camera or on video, but unfortunately, I'm the fucking talented one.
I'm the funny guy. That's it.
I'm not I'm the one that's busting my ass to get here.
I'm just the funny guy. That's all I ever am on camera.
That was my issue with social media is all of a sudden he goes, well, you got to be on live going, hi, I'm Savannah here with S&S and we're doing this. And I'm going, no, I don't.
See, I feel
with a selfie camera. And, oh my God, no.
A couple beers, I'm good with it. But like earlier in the pandemic when we were all doing like Instagram live shit, it just feels weird. Like you're just sitting here staring at the camera waiting on some followers to get on.
Yeah, and the front camera.
All right, hey guys.
and then you're waiting for people.
2 minutes in. What's up?
All right, 10 people. Here we go. But no, it's
I'm
like
gonna start talking now. And then 10 minutes into it, you're like, if you haven't already understood where we're from, go back to the beginning of the video and
scroll 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
But no, so like with the video stuff for me, it's just that like I enjoy making it. God, he's bringing COVID. So
I'm just trying to spend money.
I've said this a million times, but when you're riding with your homies, whatever, wherever you're at, no matter what, you look over and you're like, fuck, man, like this is a fucking shot right now. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm always making videos in my head. You know what I mean? Like of events and things I'm doing. So it's like, this could be a badass video if I put it together. You know what I mean?
And ride, so that's like, I'm no Kirpius who's shooting standing up,
he's
turning
awesome.
backwards while riding. Like
riding his own bike, turning around backwards.
I don't know if you've ever shot with him.
Riding.
He literally will stand up on the bike and be turned around
80 miles an hour.
80 miles an hour
All day.
doing this. And I'm like, how the fuck?
I want to do what
He goes,
Michael
well, I'm
Lichter
looking
does
at the
and like
line.
have somebody ride the bike and I just want to sit on the back and shoot.
That's what I do. I
We're
ride
working
backwards.
on building her FXR out so that she can sit on it backwards and ride it.
My whole plan is to make my seat as comfortable. My friend Karina's going to fix it. And then I'm going to do the bags and do some brackets below it so I can have a footrest.
We're gonna put rear mounted foot pegs in the back so she can lock herself in. And then she can sit against the person that's riding the bike. So that she can be locked in and then have like the FXR division bag so she can open and close those and stuff shit in and out of bags.
Yeah.
Because Michael will ride backwards and his feet are dangling and that's sketchy because I've had my feet hit the ground. I've strapped myself with a ratchet strap to my friend Brandy's bike.
Yeah.
Shock mount to shock mount and it's scary.
You just gotta like say if you're sitting at a bar or like a chair and you just have it backwards, so you have a backrest that holds you there and you can shoot. I feel like I'd be fine with that. But so it's the thing. It's like,
but
here though,
yeah.
But you're talking about like front mounted backrest where you can lean against it.
Yeah.
No, she's gonna have foot pegs behind the bags this way, so she can lean down against
I'll
the foot
still have my
pegs.
backrest there.
Damn, you're going extreme influences in the wild.
So that she can lean backwards away from the front of the bike and then down and low and shoot those real nice ground
So
shots.
it's like I got this whole like I got this whole set, or not set list, but like a shot list for like the intro that I want to have for all the videos I do. But it's like I'm gonna have to get my buddy Brad to ride my bike so I can shoot the video and stuff.
So that's the hard part for you guys is you got to have a dude ride you backwards, whereas
Jace loves a dude riding him backwards.
I love that shit.
you got to go butt
Jace
to butt.
loves it when a dude rides him backwards.
So, well, it's like, you want to create like this intro for like your video. So it's like, I want to get a couple good shots of the bike riding, but it's like, I need to get the shots and I need someone to ride the bike. Even if I'm in a truck, just getting the video. Obviously on a bike, it'll be a little bit more smoother than sitting in the back of a truck with it bouncing around and shit.
It's either or. I mean, I've strapped myself in the back of a van or had a gimbal or...
The right gimbal will get rid of a lot of that.
Got that one up there, buddy.
I see.
But that's my issue. Like
That thing's heavy as fuck, though.
I legit ratchet strapped myself to the back of a girl's bike and she rode and it was kind of sketchy. So I'm trying to build my bike to be able for me to ride backwards, just straight up the whole ride.
Yeah.
And not feel
Michael
sketchy.
does that shit. And
He's done it all across the country.
Beat.
Michael has been doing it for years on every bike ever, and his feet are dangling and hitting the ground, and he's still
Good thing is
I
like
want,
it's
like-
dangling and the ground's going that way. So if it hits the ground, it just kicks him.
It just pops him up.
It doesn't like you do
I've
the
had it hit
opposite.
my feet and it pops your foot up, so I wanted foot pegs and like a sissy bar to where I can feel comfortable and get low enough.
A real short sissy bar and foot pegs would be great because you could lean against it real freaking hard and push yourself backwards and low on the bike.
the bike too, though?
Nope.
As far as
Not if you have a good rider.
it's like that thing we all have that passenger. You take the chick on the first ride and she's like leaning
She's
the
leaning
opposite
against
corner,
you?
The opposite direction.
Like, goddamn motherfucker.
It's so I've ridden with dump truck. I rode with dump truck on the Tail of the Dragon, and I leaned the opposite way of him a lot, and I just tap that shoulder and hit him in that shoulder and go like I'm leaning this way and lean to the right while he's leaning as far as he can to the left, and I'm opposite him. But I'd tell him first. I'd hit him and go like, this is where I'm going. This is where I want my shot.
That's cool.
So if you've got
He's been making videos too recently. Dump truck. He's been getting into that shit. So that's cool.
if you've got a decent rider like that, like, I mean, well, hell, on Tail of the Dragon, we took his belt off. So he took his belt out of his pants and strapped me to the sissy bar. So all I could think the whole way on the Tail of the Dragon is like, dude, if we go down,
You're going wherever the bike goes.
I go where the bike goes. It's scary.
Yeah, that's good times.
But it's like, it was cool because I'd hit him and go like, I'm leaning this way. I'm leaning this way.
Awesome.
Sketchy as fuck.
It's sketchy.
Yeah,
Sketchy.
I mean, anytime I've ever had to ride on the back of a bike for any reason, which it's only been like a time or two in my
Like
life.
4 times.
But I mean, each time he's done it, it was only because he had to suck dick to get home.
Yeah. I've only ridden on the back of the bike. I've only ridden on the back of a bike with someone else riding it once my entire life. But I've actually had to take a homeboy down the street real quick on the bike before. I've had to do that, Yeah. But dude, it's fucking scary back there, dude. On the back seat.
I want more men to say that just because
It's fucking
you guys
sketchy.
don't know what we put up with on the back.
I rode up to Oklahoma to pick up my Sporty. I rode on the back of my buddy Sean's bike. It was like 3-hour ride. Just fucking chilling, dude. I was leaned up against the sissy bar on my phone.
Just total bitch riding. Dude, it's like, remember Mike?
It's like, bro, I think I don't want the bike now. I think I'm just gonna ride with you.
Try riding
faster.
when a dude forgets that you're on the back and does a wheelie. And you're like 10 o'clock going, oh my God, like, really?
Well, and we went to L.A. and we went and hung out with Jimmy and shit like that. And so we rode the drifting. Jimmy's Indian chieftain. And a bike ride's pretty freaking hard, but it's got a really small back seat and no backrest or anything. And she was on the back. And so I was very gentle about it. But there were a couple of moments where we were busting ass, crossing bridges and shit in Long Beach, hauling ass. And I just kept throttling in. But it was like every time I go to shift, I had to just be acknowledging the fact, like, I could throw somebody out the back of this fucking bike if I'm not careful. You got to be real acknowledging of that shit,
Remember I was telling you about the Pickard thing?
Yeah.
Someone just sent me a picture of it again today. I've been getting tagged like a motherfucker through that.
That shit's so frustrating, man.
Yeah. Anyway, We're at 3.5 hours. We got to wrap it up, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has listened to us all the way through. I hope so.
Oh, 100%.
Listeners. Yeah.
All my friends bailed
Yeah.
out like 2 hours ago.
That's fine. They usually do. I think most people, I mean, this video type podcasts are much different than audio. Audio is more like I can do this while I'm doing shit. Like I have a unique situation where I get a TV in front of me all day to work. So I like the video podcast, but you know, if you're hanging out in the garage and you have a TV in the garage working on your bike, fucking off, that's cool. It's like you're not sitting here at the TV like watching these people, but
It's the audio portion that you're really grabbing.
yeah, most people
Occasionally
are
you get to look
going
at
to do the
video and
audio,
stuff
but
like that.
the video stuff, it just kind of eventually it'll capture more people. I mean, obviously, with us doing 3 hour podcasts, there's no way someone's going to sit for 3 hours. That's like, I just get it.
Well, most of the 3 hour plus podcasts, there's people that are driving, people
Yeah,
that are on
they're not
I
going
do
to watch
driving across
3 hour
country.
podcasts.
Yeah.
They'll listen to it, but the watching part is something that is different. But the thing is, like, you know, we had to build a studio based on the fact that we needed somewhere to do podcasts, and then it just kind of evolved into, well, fuck it, we might as well do video.
Can I just say I appreciate the red lights because coming from some of my drag queen friends, pink lights eliminate all the wrinkles.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. Pink is the best color for that. So the red's
We were
close.
doing this, we got the red carpet, and then Joe Rogan copied me. It's gay. But no, like
That's just a drag queen fact is pink lights are the best for wrinkles and smoothing the skin.
I didn't know you were a drag queen, Jace.
Well, here's the deal. There's a lot of things you don't know about me, sir. But no, it just we did the walls gray, and then the red just looks best on camera. Because, you know, like I like the purple lights too, but they don't register well through the camera and the way people see it. So, you know, I got some more lights coming because we need like lights lower, because that way you don't get the shadows on the little skulls, the eye socket shadows, or what they're called, skull shadows or something.
Whatever.
But we need other lights, but it's coming. We still got
Because I
another
don't
camera.
sleep. That's why you see this.
Well, it just it's dark, like, so with your hat on, it darkens your face. So the camera's seeing you here. You know what I mean?
He's gray anyway, so.
Yeah. It's all good. All right. Thanks, guys.
Cool, man. Appreciate you having
Hey, tell
us.
everybody where to follow you and shit.
The Mouse and the Moto and Made
Where
Moto
did that
Art
name
Show.
come from?
Let's talk about it.
We got a few more minutes. We got
Okay.
Cliff Notes. Let's go.
So I had a photo of me riding my Honda CB360, and it looked like the cover of The Mouse and the Motorcycle with Ralph S. Mouse.
The
It was
book.
a Beverly Cleary book from the 70s.
Oh, okay.
And me with my big old helmet that was way too big looked like
Shaking
Mouse
it,
and the Moto. So everybody now calls me Mouse.
Nice.
That's cool.
So it's the Mouse and the Moto,
The Mouse and the Moto and Made Moto Art Show.
and then yours, because I apparently fucked up earlier.
Jason's really good at fucking shit up. So other than Moose Mitts, which is my personal social that he tagged me on, it's moose.craft is my business page.
Okay. There you go. Follow these people.
And yeah, he's helped me do my handlebars this week. So
We just that's one of the things that she's out here working on. So she's working on a narrower like 4-bin T-bar setup for women riders and stuff like that. So she's got
primarily girls or skinny dudes.
we got
Bitch-made dudes.
a certain
Skinny bitch bars.
skinny bitch bars is what she's called them. So it's a different pullback than what most people are associated with. It's not a huge difference, but it's a little bit more pullback for smaller framed riders. And then what we built for her this week, we're looking at a 10-inch set or a 12-inch set, 4-bin bar. We're looking at like 26 and a half, 27 inches wide, so a little bit narrower. But when you have somebody with small frame like her, or even some of these smaller dudes, like that's a comfortable setup. You know, even me sitting
Looking
on the
at
bike.
you. You're gonna want my
We're
bars.
looking at you. But she's got a couple of products in mind. I'm gonna try to help facilitate that best I can.
Some bars and some sissy bars and stuff.
She's real smart about the things that she wants. She already has some ideas in mind. I'm gonna help.
I need a
Try
cool
to
sign.
navigate that.
I need a cool table, bro. I
Hey,
used to make badass tables.
do you know what? I know somebody who still has that really cool fucking table.
Does All Star still have it?
Somebody has it, and I think it would probably be had for about $5,000.
I don't think it'll fit in here. That table's too huge.
That table is over 2,000 pounds and is 4.5.
What was that tree made out of? Or what tree was that?
That's what was that tree made out of?
What was that tree?
Wood.
Wood.
It's a Pecky cypress, but it was like full worm rot board Pecky cypress, which you can't transport state to state anymore because the Forestry Association won't allow it. It's illegal. But man, the wood on that table alone was like $4,000. But I think they sold that table for like $5,000. It's like a 12-foot table. It's like 2,000 pounds.
So back to my shit.
But yeah, so handlebars, sissy bars, all that kind of stuff that she's got going on. She's got some really great ideas on some products. I think it's really attentive for her to be paying attention to smaller framed and female riders.
You got to figure you guys make bars for dudes, and then some of us are skinnier.
She's got a couple of really good ideas that are going to come to light this year. I'm real excited to see it happen.
Well, best of luck. 2021 is going to be a great year for all of us.
Don't you jinx it.
Fuck yeah, 2021.
Knock on
This ain't wood.
Fuck
knock
yeah.
on that fake wood.
2021 is going to be a bad
There you go.
motherfucker.
Like I said, it's going to be a good year. All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I think that we didn't knock on the right wood because the Capitol got stormed after that. I probably shouldn't be talking about that. Anyway, we had a great time on this podcast, and you can also watch this in video form out on our YouTube channel, the Fast Life Garage on YouTube. You can check out a lot of these podcasts that we do in person here at the studio on video form. You can also check out some unreleased podcasts that we do at our Patreon, which is also a place you can support this podcast and help it grow and reach out to more guests in many different ways. Patreon.com/Fast Life Garage. If you want to donate $1 or whatever you feel comfortable with, it helps us grow and it helps us keep this going and take out more time out of the work week and just time in general to do this podcast. So big thanks to all you guys that have been supporting it. That's why we're dropping those unreleased podcasts on there and hoping to do more on that platform soon. I want to thank everybody for listening to this podcast. And I want you guys to just stay up and get ready for Fish from Alleyway Customs, which will be dropping on Thursday. So you guys stay up, and we'll catch you on the next podcast. Peace.